The day from CMR.
Brought to you by J. Michael, fashion for everyone. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you doing?
You are good.
I'm hearing some feedback.
Feedback.
Okay.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about now?
Still hearing it.
Wow.
That's all right. You
Hearing
sound great.
anything. You sound
All
fabulous.
right. Well, sound
What's
great
going on
to
out
you
there?
guys, and we shall proceed. So good morning to everyone. Let's go ahead and cover some of our morning news headlines this morning. So unfortunately, on Friday, a young man lost his life to gun violence in the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
26-year-old Devon Hernandez passed away after being shot and killed at about 10:30 in the morning.
While holding a 2-year-old?
Yeah, I think we've been able to suss out a bit more. It looks like the child was probably in the car at the time of the incident,
Oh.
but
Okay.
not far from-
Everything I thought it was that. So at least, I mean, not that it's good news, but oh man.
So what
Yes.
was this about? Do they know?
Yeah.
Do they know who the guy is that shot him?
Well, sources are saying that they have certain lines of inquiry that they are pursuing. Apparently, the gunman left the scene in a Honda Fit vehicle that was seen by people. Obviously, it's broad daylight, and so they were on the trail fairly quickly. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I've heard that they've got 2 people that they're questioning. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy, pretty
It is
wild.
very crazy.
Yeah, I understand it's a light colored, like champagne colored.
Yes,
Honda
that's
Honda
correct.
Fit.
Which is a bit of an unusual color, even for Honda Fit.
Yeah, it is. But
Yeah.
you know what? There's
There's a lot of them out there still.
there are so many Honda Fits out
Like,
there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yep. So we extend our condolences to his family. I was actually in the scene shortly after, and it was
What was
it
that about?
difficult. Sorry.
Do we know
What was it
anything what
about?
it was about? Yeah.
No idea. It looks like, probably something ridiculous, but nothing really firm as yet. Mhm.
Okay.
Very sad. Very crazy.
Yeah, it was a known gambling site, but yeah. All right. In other police news, possibly related to this, who knows? The RCIPS has admitted that gun seized in the Cayman Islands have been linked to multiple murders in Jamaica. So this really just confirms the necessity to protect our borders from these shipments normally coming in on illegal ganja boats. They come with not just ganja, but firearms and ammunition as well. So that's quite shocking, but there you have it. Something to be mindful of. So Mr. Derek Burns is officially out as the police commissioner after serving multiple terms. He has now, officially stepped down. And the official ceremony took place yesterday morning, inducting into the office Mr. Kurt Walton, who's the first commandant in the post in quite some time.
Great.
Yep.
Hopefully we
So
see
congratulations to him.
moves. Yeah.
Another trending story this weekend, Cuban migrants shipwrecked and were allegedly attacked by sharks.
What?
So, this is pretty crazy, but a number of them were trying to get to the Cayman Islands. Initially, only one made it, and then rescue operations were underfoot, and they were able to recover a few more of them, and now they've stood down the recovery because they said, chances of finding anybody else is pretty slim. So a few more might actually be missing out there. Pretty sad. So we'll get into some of those details this morning in the show. Bit of good news. Congratulations to acting chief officer. Now he's been appointed, Michael Ebanks has been appointed to the post of acting chief officer for the Ministry of Home Affairs effective August the 1st. And they say that a recruitment panel was chaired by the deputy governor to find this senior civil servant position. So you guys have a fantastic day.
Yeah.
You too.
Happy
And-
Monday.
Yeah. We'll catch you on Bobo 89.1 FM. We'll see you tomorrow for the Tuesday headlines.
Awesome.
All right, it's time to.
All right. Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? Happy Monday.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
Come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman, live, direct, it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning. First Monday in October. I know it's hard to believe that there's only a couple months left for the remainder of the year, but here we are. Most of you probably already thinking about the Christmas holidays and getting ready. Pretty scary. Christmas decorations I see are in stores already. Can you believe it? Over the weekend, I was at a few shops and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, here we go. 'Tis the season. My favorite time of the year, to be quite honest, because I love celebrating Thanksgiving. You guys know I grew up in the States. American Thanksgiving has a special place in my heart. All the festivities, that go around that, including just getting the day off, like when you were a kid and in university and everybody pretty much gets off from work, except retailers, but you know what I mean. So yeah, most people get off from work and, there's a lot of cooking depending on your household. For us, there was a lot of cooking. People travel. It's a huge travel weekend as well in the US. A lot of people do traveling to be with family and friends. And then of course, it's just like a tradition. It's all the stuff that you do. People talk about the US doesn't have any culture. Well, I guess it depends on how you define culture really, but it was quite interesting to be able to do watch the Macy's Day Parade, and then there was always a big football match on, and my uncle and cousin were really, really big into American football, so that was a day for them to sit down and do nothing while my poor aunt slaved away in the kitchen from normally the evening before. And let me tell you something, you never appreciate how much goes into what women do in terms of, contributing to their households. She did not work at that time outside of the household, but I tell you what, she kept the household going in terms of like the cooking and the cleaning. And, this was a woman that dedicated her entire life really to her family. And so she threw down and, as long as I could remember, she was in that kitchen cooking. And, as I was a late bloomer in the kitchen, believe it or not, but as I started to really appreciate the culinary arts, so to speak, and kind of made my way in the kitchen, I thought, oh my God, how on earth did she do it? Like standing on your feet. Now I go in the kitchen and I haven't been in the kitchen for a minute. I feel, oh, my poor knees, my feet, everything's aching. And she used to stand up and she would do her turkey and ham and everything was from scratch. Like I am just in awe of, what she was able to pull off for a Thanksgiving meal. Even thinking about it, I do a lot of stuff from scratch, but then there's certain things I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered making that from scratch. Like I'll at least get the dough already pre-prepared and then go from there. Like the biscuits, I'm not going to sit here and knead the biscuits from scratch. I'd be like, oh, I'll just buy the dough and, I cheat a little bit in certain areas, but she was doing it all from scratch and did such an amazing job. And when I tell you, that's why I'm a foodie, because that was the best food ever. Oh my God. You only had one meal for the day for Thanksgiving because that's all you could eat, because that was like a gazillion calories right there. But you sat down, she'd invite a few people over and you just, give thanks for life and family and everything that you had, that so many people, so many other people were not fortunate enough to have. So it's my favorite holiday by far, even more than Christmas. Christmas for kids, you get excited because you're getting presents, but for me, Thanksgiving just had a very different feel around it. And so she'd make her sweet potato pie from scratch. Oh my God, the best ever. She just threw down. And then, there was like a whole routine after that, because the day after, then she would do like the best ham sandwiches with like the leftover ham. Oh my God, seriously. But yeah, my aunt she was an awesome cook. Her liver and onions. I don't even like onions, but her liver and onions were like the best ever. We hardly ate out. Like, she cooked almost every single day. Weekends, a little bit of a treat in terms of eating out. So maybe on Saturday we might like go to the mall or something and we'd get a little something, or some barbecue chicken out, barbecue ribs or whatever. There was a barbecue like rib place not that far from where we lived. And so sometimes that was like the treat to get that. But she was a dedicated woman in the house. I tell you what, really worked hard, her entire life. So may her soul rest in peace. She wasn't an easy woman all the time. Ugh, yes, honey, yeah. But she had a good heart, and I think she did the best that she could. Miss Vernita, good morning. Yes, we have a lot of condolences going around today. Such a sad day, really, when we lose people that we love and we care about. So I want to extend condolences to Devonte Hernandez's mom. I will talk about that just here in a second. But it's just really sad. But he's a young man who unfortunately was gunned down on Friday morning. We were actually still doing the show when we got news that there was a murder down off of Sound Road. And so we made our way down there. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Unfortunately, not the only family mourning a loss this morning, although the circumstances around that one are very, very tragic. We understand that there's a loss in Bodden Town as well, in the Solomon family. So we wish to extend our condolences to that family. Also, seems like that situation was quite unexpected, where a member of their family recently had knee surgery, and developed blood clots, which is such a scary thing. Someone was saying to me, well, who is the surgeon? I said, well, that doesn't really have anything to do with developing a blood clot. I hate to tell you, but almost anybody can develop a blood clot. And you are particularly at risk after certain things like long distance traveling. There's something called DVT, which is deep vein thrombosis, basically a blood clot that can travel to dangerous areas such as your lungs and so on, that will kill you after a long flight. So the things that you can do to protect yourself, folks, and make sure that you read up on these things. For example, when you travel long distances, make sure you wear your compression stockings. After surgery, one of the reasons that any kind of surgery you've had, even if it's just giving birth and you've had a baby, a C-section, whatever, you'll know that the physicians want you to get up and move as quickly as possible. Because being stationary and lying in a particular position for too long after a surgical procedure in particular is really not good for you. So, they encourage you, and I know it's difficult depending on the nature of the surgery. Sometimes it's very difficult to get moving. Your body just wants to rest, but it can create a dangerous chain reaction that could lead to these blood clots. So unfortunately, I understand that this person developed blood clots and just didn't even realize what was going on, and there just wasn't enough time. So we extend our condolences to that family as well. And the Bodden family also lost a loved one. So we'd like to extend our condolences to Miss Benita and her husband and daughter, Vashti, and the rest of the family. on the loss of their brother and uncle and son. He was only 35 years old. And I know that he had, some special needs, but you couldn't find someone who was, more loved, really. His family just really, really loved him. And I saw a post yesterday, earlier in the day, where his mom had posted actually on the 30th that, they were asking for prayers for Anthony, who at 35 years old, and a young man with special needs, had really, suffered a lot. He had sickle cell. And then apparently there was a brain bleed for him. And, she had mentioned that he was in life support. And basically the doctors had said there wasn't much more that they could do. And he passed away yesterday as well. So extending our condolences to that family, who's also in mourning today also. So just tough time all the way around, unfortunately. And, what can we say? Except to express our deep sorrow. And, those families hopefully can find some degree of comfort. There's not much that you can say, I'm afraid. I hate when people say, oh, they're in a better place, because I'm just like, I'm not so sure that really helps the family that's here. I mean, we all want to believe that, of course, but, it's just very, very tough when you lose a loved one. So, again, extending all condolences across to anyone who's going through a loss here today. So good morning to Miss Bev. Happy Monday. Not the best of circumstances today, I feel like, but we're going to push through it. Good morning to Marshall. Miss Dean is here. Good morning to Alice, Everton, and Catherine joining us. Sonia, Diamond Princess Sapphire, how are you? Siobhan, good morning. Miss Barbara's here. Damien says 40 years too late. For what? What did I miss? Wee, Olivia, Leroy, good morning, you little brat. Congratulations to Kurt. Yep, we're going to talk about that here in a minute. Miss Beulah, good to see you. Damaris, Leanna's here. All the usual suspects. Andrea, sorry, good morning. Morna, Leanna's here. Miss Sonia, so good to see. Miss Sanya, sorry, so good to see you. She says that we need to start praying for young people. We're in trouble with all this violence. I think that they need a lot more than prayer as well. Leanna is saying that maybe we need someone to open prayer and an open class and prayer this morning. I have no objections to that. If someone wants to call in and say a little prayer, especially for the families in mourning this morning, that would be appreciated. I'm not much of a prayer in that sense of the word. I'm a prayer like, there's so many different religions, sects around the world. And that's sex, S-E-C-T-S, not S-E-X, to be clear. But I would be, if I were like a religious leader, or the ideal church for me is actually the Quakers, where you just kind of sit and you quietly meditate. That's my vibe. I'm not into the four square churches and the Pentecostal and the jumping up and down and shouting and stuff like that. I've been to those churches before and they're interesting, and it's just not my cup of tea, to be honest. At times I am like, okay. So for me, I like to just quietly sit and try to just meditate and, be in one communication with the higher power and just take it in at that level. I don't need a whole lot of shouting and jumping up and down and doing backflips and stuff. But if somebody wanted to call in and say a little prayer, we ain't got no problems with that. Good morning to Patricia. Damien says they're thinking about Halloween, the second biggest revenue moneymaker after Christmas. Really? For holidays? I guess they sell a lot of candy. Thank you, Miss Dorothy. And, I know some of y'all feel a particular way about Halloween, but I don't really take it on too deeply, folks. We have a 7-year-old. She'll go trick-or-treating and get way more candy than she'll ever be able to eat. And so then I give it away to her friends and to neighborhood kids and other people. But just, she enjoys putting on a little costume and going out and having a nice little time. This year, we're going to do some bumblebee costumes. So everybody's going to go out. I've got a bumblebee costume on order. I've got one for her. I've got one for Zeus the dog. And I've got one for Daddy. So we're all going to be bumblebees. One big bumblebee of a family. Speaking of bees, good morning, Miss Bonnie. Thank you, Miss Dorothy. I've been kind of dressing up lately a little bit. I think some of y'all have noticed. By dressing up, I mean I just throw on a jacket. So it's the same outfits. I just throw on a little jacket. But, a little jacket makes you look a little bit more polished, honey chill. And then I got the hair colored yesterday. So, yes, not looking too shabby. Bees. I've noticed a lot of them lately. So one of the interesting observations that I get to make is having to walk this dog of mine. I see things and I appreciate things because, you're out in the outdoors a bit more. Y'all know I did not make 50 by 50, so I didn't lose my 50 pounds as I wanted to. But you know what? I'm not giving up. I'm still gonna push through. But I'm getting to walk the dog, which means I'm out walking a little bit, getting in a few extra steps every day. And the chickens, y'all know me and them chickens not really friends. They make so much noise and clacking and whatever. We had the color come out and he picked up a few of them and took them away. And so there's still more here and I need to message him, tell him to come back. But, it has made a significant difference. You'd be surprised, but it has really made a difference. And I tell you what, the not having to compete with the sounds of the chickens, the other birds, you hear them more, you hear the parrots more. It's such a beautiful sound to just hear birds, what do they do? Cripping, whatever, in the neighborhood. Sounds so beautiful. And so that's nice on a nice morning walk to hear them. And of course, we always see the agoutis. On Saturday, we got a 2-for-1 agouti deal. We know that there's definitely 2 in close proximity to where we are. I think it's more than 2, but we see 2 on a regular basis. And one of the observations, my daughter was so excited. She's like, oh my God, look at him. And they were doing their little hopping thing. And we got pretty close to them as well. They don't seem to, oh God, one person's like, dinner. No, they don't seem to interact with each other, which is kind of weird. They seem like when they're out foraging, they're very much solo creatures. So although they're in close proximity, like one has gone this way and one has gone this way. But yeah, they were hopping all over the place over the weekend. I would say on average, probably at least 3, sometimes 4 times a week, I do see them. So you just have to be out at the right time in early mornings and sort of at dusk. Sometimes you even see them late at night. I catch them. I'm like, oh, it's past your bedtime, child. Get to bed. But yeah, so they're out and about. And so Gianna was very, very excited to see them. She's like, oh my God, the agouti. She's like, can I get closer? And I said, well, I don't think that they're going to allow you to get too much closer than that because they're wild, And sure enough, they kind of hop off when you get a little bit too close. But it's nice and refreshing to kind of get out and enjoy the outdoors and not have these chickens clacking in your head all the time. And you, like I said, you do get to see and appreciate quite a bit more of Mother Nature as well. So go for a walk around the neighborhood, honey child. Really nice. Morning to Perla, Miss Bonnie from East End, Miss Dorothy. So good to see you. Debbie joining us. Miss Sue right here from the Savannah area. So yes, Perla is remembering that I'm going on vacation. So that's right. Coming up on the 12th, which is next week, Thursday. I will not be here until the following 2 weeks. I'll be back hopefully on the 25th or 26th. I'll let y'all know for sure. There's a lot of traveling involved, but yes, I'm excited to be traveling. And no, I'm not telling y'all where I'm going. Just know that I'm going far, far away and I'm going to have a fabulous time. So I'm excited. Yes, honey child. This will be my first proper vacation in forever. My God, I'm trying to think. When was the last time I really went anywhere? Disengaged. I don't mean Miami. To me, Miami is honestly not a vacation. So yeah, somebody said 2010 for Miss Universe. No, I've traveled since then because I did Panama some years ago. I've done Honduras because I did the Panama Canal. Well, I think those back in 2013 might have been the last like proper vacations. Like I said, I don't really consider going to the States much of a vacation, to be honest, unless I'm like going to like, I don't know, the mountains, California, like really see something different. Florida, yeah, you go shopping. It's like, whatever. That's a normal weekend. So yeah, it's gonna be just Daddy and I. Wink, wink. Yes, couples vacation, honey chill. Yeah, that we haven't done in forever. So we've taken Gigi obviously to like the States and stuff. She hasn't done Disney or anything yet. Maybe next year we'll do a whole Florida trip because I want to do Tampa, Orlando. So Johan, good morning. Talking about Auntie Sandy looking kind of fire this morning. Mess with you. Nikki is in Brazil. She's in one of my bucket list places. Listen, I wish I had Nikki's life. I live vicariously through Nikki's Facebook page. She is always traveling. I mean, this girl travels. You should be a professional traveler. You need to have a travel vlog and just make that your life story. Because yes, Nikki is all over the place. Are you still in Brazil now or have you came back? So I need to get her links because she knows how to travel on a budget. Somebody else has said to put Barcelona, Spain on your travel list. Yes. So many places in Europe and Asia. Oh, Bangkok, Thailand, like everywhere. Oh my God, I need to travel. So yes, I'm going to start at least doing one major trip a year, maybe two, to see the world because it's a big, big, big place out there. Gabby says, how did the TikTok town hall meeting go? Didn't catch it. Well, neither did I. So did anybody go? It was on Saturday, and I'd be curious to see all 10 people that showed up. This guy is doing the most. I don't even want to give him any more attention because I feel like, somebody said he had 60 persons. Well, there you go. I guess that's not too shabby by Cayman standards. But right now we have 366 people just by comparison. That's just on social media. 60 for Cayman is still pretty decent though, especially for some random stranger that y'all know nothing about, by the way. I laugh when I think about this situation. First of all, the dude needs a real job. I'm just saying. I checked his LinkedIn profile. And what I will say is that he works for himself. And I don't unfortunately see anywhere on his profile where he's like had a real job, which I'm not saying being self-employed is not a real job. But I think he kind of he does something with the Samoan language where he like teaches people. That's primarily what his TikTok is used for. And then I guess he started branching out, trying to do, so he's been self-employed for, it looks like probably close to 6 years now. And there's no other employment history. So I kind of feel like, what's this guy been doing? Now he's found his niche, which is becoming the next premier of the Cayman Islands. And he is milking that for everything he can get. So he does have an MBA in business administration and management. And he has a bachelor's degree in public health. So maybe he'll come and start working as a chief medical officer soon in the Cayman Islands. I'm totally being facetious, and I hope you guys are understanding it. But yes, he's got all the answers for us. And now he's actually started a petition as well, because the people of the Cayman Islands don't know how to do anything ourselves. So in typical American fashion, we need Americans to come and save us. You know, I don't think that Americans even get how they can insult people. There's something very unique about the American story, which, he's doing too much. I mean, more videos this weekend. Now we're going to do a town hall meeting. We're going to do a petition after that. I'm like, dude, can't you petition for some of the hot mess that's going on right there in Illinois? Like Detroit is right there. Like, come on, dude. Your own cities are a mess. Politically, the U.S. is a hot mess. You guys have a former president that's been charged with so many things that I've lost count. you've got things to fix. You've got your own cultural issues as well that you could probably focus on. I just feel like he's just doing too much. It's out of control. I'm like, dude, get a life. Marjorie says, would you eat a Gucci? I would not. I've never seen one. You've never seen one? What? Okay, so I have to confess to having eaten them before. Only a handful of times, really. It's not something that I like go out of my way to eat, but let me tell you the truth, honey child. When I go to my aunt's place, if she had a Gucci in the pot on a Sunday, I was like, well, what do you say it's called? Cayman rabbit? Let's go with that. That sounds good. But the bones are very, very fine. And I don't like food that I have to fight with after it's cooked. If y'all understand, you understand. So I don't like fine bones. That's why some fish I'm like, I can't be bothered because it's so bony. You're almost choking yourself trying to avoid the bones and stuff like that. I find a Gucci's a little bit like that. It's a gamey meat. Like it's almost like having duck or something like that, So yeah. But now that I've seen them and I feel like they're become, little pets around the place, I'm more hard pressed to probably eat one again. Like, I don't think that I probably would. Depends on how hungry I was, though, honey child, because you better believe if I was out in the wilderness and you bring a pot of a Gucci in front of me, I'd be like, ooh, just show me the bread kind and the rice, honey child. Put that gravy on it. Thank you very much. YouTuber says, get a weighted vest to wear when you go walking makes a difference. Yeah, I think I need to do more walking for like really pumping it up, not just slow walking the dog. I want to get a stepper. Now, y'all hear me out because I know what y'all are thinking. You're like, Sandy, you already have everything in your gym that isn't getting used. Do you really need a stepper? Yes. Here's how I'm going to justify it. The bike was here. I actually moved the bike out yesterday. Did y'all notice the bike is actually gone? It's a little bit more challenging to ride a bike than I thought and do the show because of the distance of where I have to sit on the bike. But a stepper, I could literally put right here and I could be stepping right now and getting my steps in. You're all like, girl, you would justify a purchase. I know. Me and Amazon, honey child. So I'm thinking to get a stepper for the show and I can kind of do that. And yes, I do have a little home gym, a little space with some stuff in it, but I'm getting motivated. I am getting more motivated. I ordered my what's it called? Daily Burn, which is like a online system that a sale on that was like 60% off. So the price was right. And Daily Burn is fantastic because you have all these different access to like instructors through apps and stuff. And it covers everything from like yoga to HIIT to all the different forms of exercise and dance, cardio, like everything. So I'm totally going to be getting on board with that here shortly. Once you start exercising, you do feel better. I'm going to be honest. I've been doing pickleball a little bit. I didn't get to go yesterday, but I've been doing it mostly on Sundays and then start doing Mondays. And, I'm starting to feel good. I just got to watch the knees a little bit because they are 50-year-old knees now. And so put on my little knee brace. But I feel good afterwards. And my digestive tract feels better and I go to the bathroom easier. Like everything just feels better after you exercise. Listen, folks, get a little exercise in your life. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to get back into the swing of things. It's just hard once you stop. All right. So listen, I want to tell you all a 23andMe story. So you guys have heard me talk about my 23andMe journey, right? How I did this DNA testing. I actually had the kit for years sitting here, bought it before COVID. Then we went into lockdown, so I couldn't really travel. And Jamila has me laughing. She says, it's a vacation. So yes, I had it here. And then the first trip that we took off island post-COVID, I took it. I actually bought 2 kits, one for me, one for my husband. And the results were a little bit surprising in a way. Like my husband, I swore that he must have, Jamaican Indian. I'm like, okay, he's got some real Jamaican in him, right? Like I was shocked that this man has zero African ancestry, which basically means that since his people have been in Jamaica, they haven't mixed with anybody else other than Asian people. So other Indian people. I mean, I looked at him and I kind of thought, yeah, I could see. I mean, there's some African ancestry there somewhere. Not a lick, not even a 0.2%, nothing. 100% Indian, Asian, and tell you what region, whatever. And I was like, wow, that is so crazy to me. That was a shock for me, I must admit. Now, because, sometimes depending on what part of India they're from, they do look a little bit different. So even his dad, I thought his dad looked more like Mexican. Every time I look at his dad, I'm like, who he reminds me of? The Mayan Indians, like from that part of Mexico. He could pass for Spanish. Anywho, child, for myself, probably the most interesting thing is the almost 20% European. I wasn't really expecting to see that. I thought that would have been a much smaller number. So that's kind of interesting. Other than that, we kind of, oh yes. And the other surprise to me was Honduras, the connections with Belize and Honduras, because I still don't know where that comes in. I'm like, what connections do I have Belize and Honduras? Jamaica, we knew. St. Elizabeth, like it really narrowed it down. So you guys have heard me talk about, 23andMe. And I want to do the other one, the Ancestry.com, because some people in Cayman do the different ones. And so you find different connections. I wish everybody in Cayman would do this to kind of see how we're really family and how we're connected. But listen, secrets are going to be revealed. Yes. Over the weekend. Listen to this message that I got. You guys, this is going to knock your socks off. Hold on one second now. So someone sent me this message and I was like, OMG, are you serious? So they sent me this Saturday morning. I was so shocked. Hold on. It just shows you, it's amazing that you guys sit here and actually listen to me. And some of you take action based on what I say. So this person decided to do a 23andMe test and hear what they had to say. This is like good news. So they said, hey, Sandra. So I went to Jamaica and did the DNA test last Saturday. Results came back during this week and I found my biological mother. Wow. I'm so glad I listened to you on your show about doing 23andMe. Oh my God. So this person listened to the show religiously, heard me talk about 23andMe, decided that they were going to do it, and they went and had it done. And guess what? They discovered someone on there who was like a close family member, shared a certain percentage of their DNA. So that made them curious. And then they were like, okay, let me probe a little bit. Turns out that person was actually their niece, right? And then they started to like, okay, that person shares 12% of my DNA. And it says, this is how this person's connected. So it started with that. And they decided to then proceed with finding the other person, which turns out to be their sister. And eventually they took a DNA test. And guess what? They have found their biological mother, which I think is just absolutely fascinating and amazing. And so there's a whole backstory there about what happened to them. And I'm curious. I was like, well, what happened? Like, how did you, oh my God, how did that happen? So, at some point, listen, we can't always understand the decisions that people make, even parents, when things are tough. Sometimes maybe you're like child number 6 and they really can't afford any more kids. And so they think the best thing to do is to give you up to somebody else. So this is some of their profile. They've got Afro-Cuban, Jamaican, St. Anne Parish, Jamaica, plus 9 other regions within the Caribbean. So it was just so fascinating. And I could not believe that as a result of 23andMe, They then decided to do a DNA test and they have found their biological mother. Now, I know a lot of people long to find, like they know somebody took them as a baby and they don't know who their biological mother is. This gives you hope that, boy, you just never know. Good morning, caller. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hello, caller.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
I said, how are you? Happy Monday.
Yes, I'm good. Happy Monday.
I just wanted to call in because I heard you talking about the 23andMe.
Mhm.
I mean, it's fun to do, but I hate to burst your bubble or anybody else's bubble.
Uh-huh.
It's all that accurate. I'll tell you why. Each one of those companies, 23andMe, Ancestry.com, they take your DNA and they come according to the samples they have.
Yes.
And what happen is that you end up getting, if I were to do a 23andMe and an Ancestry.com and some other one that they have, I would get different results, right? So one result you might see, I don't know, 13.5% Bulgarian. The other one would say like 17% Bulgarian because they do it according to their samples. Also, to bear in mind, when it says, all right, for my hypothetical example, when it says 13% Bulgarian, it doesn't mean that I necessarily have ancestry in Bulgaria. What it means is how I don't want to get too technical, but it's around the world. Humans can be grouped in something called haplogroups.
Yes.
Something that has it's certain genetic traits that pop up in other parts of the world quite randomly. It doesn't mean that if you come up with, if it says 13% Bulgarian, that you are 13% Bulgarian. Just means that 13% of the sample that we had from Bulgaria shared this particular genetic trait. So
having said that, though, having said that, the connections that it has made to the people that I'm connected to, so my DNA relatives, have been really spot on. And I must tell you, for them to narrow down, for example, when it tells like the region and whatever, and to specifically say to me, you have a connection to St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, which is exactly where my grandfather on my mother's side was from, to me is still hell of accurate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not looking for the 20% European ancestry. I don't really care about that. I don't know who those people are, how we're even connected. It might have been just like one family member that kind of, I don't know, came from Europe or whatever. I mean, we all know that, especially in the Cayman context, there was a lot of mixing of slave owners and slaves. And so a lot of Caymanians probably have a higher than usual amount of European ancestry than some other countries, including even our Jamaican family members and stuff like that. But I do think it still gives you a lot of amazing information that, listen.
I'm not saying it's completely inaccurate, but I see people who use these tests and then they're, I'm 17% Bulgarian and I'm 30%.
Well, I mean, for me, that doesn't matter. But the fact that it can connect you with people, like, for example, right now it has a Timothy as my first cousin. And I know exactly, although it only says Timothy S, I know exactly who that first cousin is. And he is my first cousin. It has a niece as a first cousin once removed. And that's true because she's my first cousin's cousin. So she's actually my second cousin. So, I mean, I don't know. I have another first cousin here, Tyra Powell. She lives in the UK. So I don't really know much about her, but I know her mother's Caymanian. So I don't know who the Caymanian connection is. But no, I mean, listen, the only thing for me that was surprising in terms of the family, because we know the Macfields and a lot of other people, but some of the, like the Connollys, the Ebankses from West Bay, I had no idea about this West Bay connection, that it was so incredibly strong. The Hydes, so it looks like people like even Ralston, I believe I'm family to. And at first, when I got my results and I saw that I had something in common with one of his daughters, he said to me, "Oh, that's probably on my wife's side of the family." And I thought, yeah, that makes sense, except I see his niece on his sister, one of his sisters, and I'm connected to her as like a third cousin. So that means that we have to be connected on his side of the family. I mean, it's just interesting. But listen, If it can help you find a lost relative or help you to make familial connections, then I'm all for it. Melanie and Macfield, we're third cousins. I didn't know that. I know because she's a Macfield that we'd have to be related, but I would not have imagined that we were actually that close.
Well, Sandra, tell me what you think about this, because I see that they do this in Iceland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Iceland, because so many Icelandic people are related, they have a national database and they have an app, right? Everybody who's there. So let's say you meet someone and you want to get to know them, you put their name in the app, put your name in the app, and then it goes back to the government database and it tells you, oh no, you guys are first cousins once removed. I think something like that here. I think the government should do something like that here.
Well, I don't like to put too much pressure on government because I think they got their hands full, and I also don't like to beg government for anything. But I think that most people could afford, and a lot of times they have these DNA tests on sales, and look, $100. Most people can afford to order this on Amazon. Some of y'all spend more on shoes than this. And I think this can have such meaningful information. I mean, imagine how that lady now feels. She's in her 30s, I believe. But, actually knowing who her biological mother is. And then she gets to hear the backstory, which sometimes we don't want to know the backstory. But, apparently she was taken to hospital. Nobody ever came for her. Nobody ever picked her up from hospital when she was a baby. And so she went into like some foster care situations. And then eventually a lady from Cayman ended up adopting her. And that's how she came to the Cayman Islands. But I don't know if you remember this. You may not, but there was a caller. This was before the show was on radio years ago on the Cold Hard Truth, who was looking for her biological mother. And she had a story, she knew she was in Cayman. She actually lives in the States now. She grew up part of the time in Cayman. She kind of had some names. But you know what was so interesting? Old Caymanian, midwives and people in nursing came forward and they say, I think I know who that child is for. Because her mother worked here. The mother was a domestic worker. She was a Jamaican lady. We got so close, but we never fully got to identify who her mother was. But, it takes people getting into the database to make those types of connections. And I can't remember her name now. I'll have to try and find the story. But this woman was so adamant about trying to find her biological parents. And I think that what happens is when you don't grow up with your biological parents, there is that longing, to find them. I can't explain it other than, I've spoken to people who are in that situation. And although I tell them, maybe you don't want to know who your family are. Sometimes I wish I didn't know, they say to me, no, it's not even about necessarily building a relationship with that person. It's just about trying to see where you fit in this big puzzle that we call the world, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Ahsoka says, I remember that woman. I was so sad. I was just trying to find her story. I'm trying to remember what her name was now. Oh, God. Wish I could have. I'm going to try to see if I can't find her and follow up with her. We did a show on it. I feel like it was a sad situation. But yeah, some people came forward trying to help her identify who her biological mom may have been. But, once you have that longing, caller, it's not something that unless you have that you can fully explain, I'm afraid. But you know what? We have local people here. Big shout out to Oliver Watler, Miss Kathy Frazier. I've been to a discussion that they've had at the National Trust many, many years ago. I forced my husband to go. I don't think at the time he was even that interested in Cayman history or culture, whatever. But it was so good. It was about ancestry, and both of them have done the 23andMe, Ancestry.com, but they have built out their family trees. And, one of the interesting things that Oliver said during the talk is that you can't just go off of these DNA tests. You have the oral history, and this is where culture and our history becomes important because, yes, those DNA tests might give you some idea, but then you have oral history that helps you fill in a lot of the gaps because there were a lot of things that happened here back in the day, just like they're happening now, where this one was with this one and that one. And, you thought that was your daddy and then not really your daddy. And sometimes people knew it in the communities. So a lot of the older heads would be like, yeah, this man claimed this child, but we actually know, or I guess nobody can know 100% without DNA test, but we believe that that child is not even for him. And sometimes you could tell just by looking at people that they just didn't fit into the family. And so, he said that for him, he's traced, Oliver has traced his DNA, his ancestry back to I want to say it's either like the 1800s or the 1600s or something. He's traced it all the way back to the original Wattlers that came to Cayman. And yes, it was a fascinating discussion. And I wish the National Trust and the archives, was it the National Trust or anyway, it's one of them, but they had it like at the archiving area, right? At that building. I wish they'd have more of these because I was so into it. I was like, oh my God, everybody should do their family tree and really try to figure out where you fit. And so he was saying that, in Cayman, we have this sort of misconception that there's two sets of Wattlers here. We have the white Wattlers and then the black Wattlers. And we believe, at least the white Wattlers want to believe, that they're not connected to the black Wattlers. That is a convenient belief for you, but it's simply not the truth. So he traced the Wattlers back to two brothers that came from England, from Europe to Jamaica. They were in Jamaica for a minute and then decided to come to Cayman. When they came to Cayman, they married different sets of people, really, is what happened. So one would have married a white lady, right? Probably a slave owner. And the other one somehow went down the darker line, marrying basically slaves or descendants of slaves at that point. And that's why you have some of the Wattlers who look like they could pass for white and some who look like they could pass for black, but you're all family and you all come from two brothers. You share that common ancestry. And so that was so fascinating to actually know. And it dispels some misinformation because, some Caymanians won't believe that they high yellow or they're white or whatever they want to call themselves. And that makes them different. It really dispelled the fact like there's no two separate Wattlers. You all came from two brothers. And it's just fascinating.
I wonder what Mr. Town Hall would think about that aspect of our culture.
He not even taking the time to learn. You know what is annoying me about him is if this man would take the time to even, I understand his criticisms, but if he would even be willing to learn a little bit, it would be amazing. So Damien is saying, do you think Oliver would come and talk about this? Possibly. I want to say that we've had him on before. But we'll reach out to him because him and Miss Kathy, who are actually cousins as well, believe it or not, have an amazing, like they tell you how they're connected. And so it is very, very fascinating. Trust me. I think it is good to know, as Caymanians say, who you for? Where have we come from, really? Oh, here's the story. Here's the story. I found it. This was July of 2019. American woman searching for Jamaican mother after 36 years. Oh my God, let me show you guys this. Oh, I don't think she's ever found her. Oh, this kind of breaks my heart. Because it's like you want people to know where they're from and who they're for. There she is. Remember Soka? That's her. So she was raised by, she at some point went to the States and she was raised by this Caucasian family. She said she had a good life. Like she's not complaining about these people. She's not, saying that they treated her bad. She's had a good life, but she still wants to know who her mother is. Where did she come from? Who's her family? Oh my God. This was such a touching story. I'm going to see if I can reach out to her on social media. I think she's still on social media somewhere. But anyway, folks, go get your 23andMe test done. Put your little history together. I think there's an ancestry group online as well that could help you put all of your links and stuff together. Because, even back in the day, sometimes what you had happening with family members is that, different things were frowned upon socially. So you might have someone who married, and then they took on like that person said like, okay, the kids were for them or whatever. And it really wasn't. It was just like a way to not bring shame to the woman. So a lot of that went on as well. But then they took on the name of whoever that father was, right? So you might be walking around with a name and that name is really not even yours. So, yeah. So baby Sarah was her name. And I had people from as far as Cayman Brac, not that Cayman Brac is far, but they reached out because she has a Cayman birth certificate. So this is where the story kind of got a little bit confusing. And they reached out, but someone at the hospital remembered baby Sarah and they said, listen, baby Sarah, it was, again, one of those situations where I think she might have just been left at the hospital and, eventually was adopted because apparently back in the day, there were Americans who came here who would adopt Cayman children or children in this country and take them overseas. So they do have her being born at Church Street in Georgetown. And they have her mother listed as someone who was indeed a domestic worker. So there were people who reached out. They were like, I was a midwife at the time, or I helped with adoptions. And I remember this situation with baby Sarah, because back then, 36, 40 years ago now, it wasn't often, especially in Cayman, that you would have a baby that just was abandoned at the hospital like that. I was like, what? Nobody abandoned their babies back then, really. Not here anyway. And so, it was such an unusual case that there are people who actually remember it. They're like, yeah, I remember baby Sarah. And then this American family took her and they adopted her, and she's still longing to find her mom. Oh, poor thing. Anyway, if you know anything about these stories, by all means, reach out. Yeah, poor baby Sarah. But we actually have let me see if I can get the link for the interview. I'm telling you, it's one of those things that I was like, this is such a fascinating case. Yeah, we did this. We did an interview. Oh my gosh, that's 4 years ago. Can you believe it? So we did the interview with baby Sarah and her mom, and with baby Sarah, she's looking for her biological mom. So if you can help, by all means, see what you can do. All right. So let's move on. Go get your DNA test done. That's the best advice I can give you, folks. It's just one of those things that I feel like everybody should do. Never know. You might be surprised that you find some loved ones. Somebody said they enjoy watching the PBS Finding Your Roots. I love shows like that. There's another one that's on a YouTube channel where celebrities like track down who they're for and stuff like that, their ancestry. And it's just so interesting. You'd be surprised. Here's this one about how Queen Latifah was able to trace her ancestry to the 1700s. Yeah, some of these are super interesting. So this person says, she also had a medical condition. I sent in my 23andMe and they emailed to say the kit was compromised. I was so upset. They offered to send a new kit, but I don't live in the US, so couldn't get it so easy. Who had a medical condition? Baby Sarah? So listen, link me after the show. I will give you my Miami address. You to send it, have them send it there, and I'll bring back your kit for you. This has happened before where people, sometimes your kit, my girlfriend, her kit got lost. Like it was the third time. I took it back on a trip from New York, sent it. It didn't get there. They're like, we don't know where the kit is. And then the other one, there was some issue with that. So it was the third time that was a charm. And guess what? We find out that we're cousins. Cayman. So talk to me and I'll help you get your kit. All right, Allison, good morning. So good to see you. Miss Elaine says, yep, sometimes hook up with cousins unknowingly or knowingly, because back then they were like, keep it in the family. What does Johan says? Oh my gosh, Johan's coming with a conspiracy theory. Oh no, Johan, relax. Rough Seas, I think too many people would lose their inheritance if they were to find out the truth. I don't know if it's too many people. I think that most people, you know who you for, but there's probably one or two cases that you really don't. And there have been examples of it here where people have gained an inheritance, Rough Seas. So think of it that way. You might gain something by finding out that your real father is a big time merchant class individual here in Cayman and was seeing your mama on the side, honey child. So you never know. I think it's just good to know. Like, I'm not worried about no inheritance or anything like that, but I just think it's good for you to know. Child, unfortunately, I couldn't hide. My situation's a little bit mixed up as well, but I really couldn't hide because everybody's like, oh my God, you're the spitting image of Uric. He couldn't deny you, and he can't deny I'm the youngest. And they're like, he can't deny you, and he definitely can't deny the eldest one, which is Melrose from North Side, because apparently quack like a duck, look like a duck. That was us. Like, we just came out stamped like him, like everything. The big eyes, like total strangers look at me and they don't even know me in Cayman, and they were like, "Oh, you for Uric? I see how you walk. You walk just like him." And I'm like, oh, "Okay." So, sometimes you can't hide, honey child. That's like my daughter Gianna. I couldn't hide her from her father because she looks a lot like him. Now that she's getting a little bit older, but still, when she was born, everybody's like, "What did you do again? Did you carry? Are you sure you carried the child? Because she looked just like her papa." I'm like, here we go. And sometimes the genes are just really strong on one particular side or another, All right. Andrea says I might open up a can of worms. Leroy says my wife is from Honduras and I met her in East End. And a lot of Caymanians are connected to people in Honduras. So even their child, she might be a cousin. You never know. You just never know. All right, let's move on. So Friday morning, I was here doing the show, and I can't even remember. Oh, we were doing the consumer segment of the show. And during the show, like about 10:30ish, we were into a little bit of overtime. So it's probably closer to 1:45. I started receiving all of these messages about how there was a shooting and it looks like somebody's been killed. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm like, it's 10:30 in the morning. Who the hell shoots somebody at 10:30 in the morning? Well, these criminals do not care the hour, the place, nothing. And so I was shocked that, I said, okay, let me end the show, get down to the scene, kind of see what's going on. A lot of times I go to the scene because the things that I can hear on the ground, literally on the Marl Road, I'm not going to have access to sitting behind a computer or anything else of the sort, right? So, yeah, that you'd be surprised what you find out and what you get to hear and so on. So I should say, I'm going to show you guys something here that if you're a little bit sensitive to this issue, you probably should take a little bit of a break and come back to us in a few minutes. But this is the reality of what we're dealing with now in Cayman. This is our sad reality, in fact, that we have young men, 26 years old, who has now unfortunately lost his life, gunned down in the streets of the Cayman Islands. Worse than an animal, really, because you don't see people going around shooting animals like this. It is such an unfortunate situation. And I don't know the young man. He's such a handsome young man. He's got a baby. I don't know him, and I don't really know much about his story. A lot of people said, oh, he's a really nice young man. It's just so sad that this has happened. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what the mix-up is. I don't know who he pissed off, somebody who can't control their anger. I mean, look at him. Look at that face, huh? A mother is now, without one of her children because of just senseless violence in this community. And I cannot believe that this is where we are. This young man, by all accounts, 26 years old, had a future ahead of him, no matter what he was into, I suppose, at the end of the day. This is still just such a tragic situation. And I was looking at his social media page, and one thing I must say is he has a young child who was there with him. She's a toddler. And it looks like he really loved this baby. You know how you can just tell when people are so proud to have a child? He seems like he was that person. I don't know if this is his only child. It looks like it could have been. But I mean, all of the pictures of him just hugging up this child and kissing this baby and, saying stuff like how happy he was to be a father, and messages like, I'm always going to be there for you. And look at this now. Unfortunately, this young man will not always be there for her, because his life has been, taken. And look at the little baby. She's so cute. Look at her. My goodness, cutest little thing ever. And now, unfortunately, she's gonna grow up. Look at those little chubby legs. She's gonna grow up without the love of her father. And I'm gonna say this on record. I don't think that there's any relationship really that can compare to that of a good father, especially, you know. So there they are together. I think she's about 2 years old. She's a toddler. Now, the saddest thing about this is she was actually with him when he got gunned down. Now, like I said, I was at the scene and I was speaking to different people at the scene. So I did hear his wife was there, but that's not who the baby's for. I don't think he was with the wife. He had a baby mama some other girl that he was with. And his mother was at the scene when I got there, and I briefly spoke with her. And she was saying that, you know, she never thought that this would be our reality. She never thought that this would be Cayman, that this is the kind of stuff you read about, she said, in newspapers in Jamaica and Honduras. She's like, this is not supposed to be Cayman. And I thought to myself, it broke my heart and it's sad. And the saddest part is that this is actually our reality. We have become a violent community. Now, it's not as bad, let's make sure now, as some other places, but if we don't stomp this out quickly, it won't be long. Trust me. Right? It seems with the passage of time, there is an acceleration of violence. There's an acceleration of access to guns. And so in other jurisdictions, what might have taken them, say, 25 years to get to where they are, in the 21st century, in the here and now, it's going to take 5 years, maybe 10 at most. So the acceleration will be a lot quicker. And that is what scares me, because I think if you don't see that, we got a problem. We have got to do something remarkable to curtail this violence and to get the guns off of our street. But the guns are only part of the problem, right? So a lot of times, you guys know I watch international news. I watch news out of the UK, and I'm sitting here hearing, oh, you know, today in this little city in the UK, whatever, there were 3 stabbings. One person got killed from the stabbing. These other 2 were in critical condition, whatever. People will find a way, whether it's stabbing, shooting, whatever. They're going to find a way to kill each other if you grew up in violent communities. And so we have to attack the issue at the core, right? Everything else is just like a Band-Aid. So getting the guns off the street, that's a partial Band-Aid. You can hold it down for a little bit longer if there are no guns in the streets, but then people are going to be picking up knives. They're going to be stabbing each other. They're going to be picking up machetes and chopping each other. Obviously, guns add a more lethal element to it. You're more likely to kill somebody with a gun than even stabbing them, but you can equally kill someone with a knife. So I think the truth of the matter is, folks, we have got to really try to reach, especially our young men. And it's an urgent call. So what we have, folks, is this guy was there. Now, this is a known gambling area. Okay, so like I said, when I'm there, I got my ears to the ground and I'm talking to people off camera to say, what's really going on here? So he wasn't killed in the parking lot of Reflections, although they had part of their parking lot cordoned off. That's because they were just building a perimeter around the crime scene. There's actually next to that a little like shed, a little covered area. And it is an area that is known for selling numbers. So these guys go there early in the morning. They go to buy their numbers and they go to smoke their weed and just hang out doing God knows what else. So there were multiple people who witnessed what happened and who were at the scene. So I'm going to share some of that with you. And that's why I say if you're a little bit sensitive, maybe you log off for a bit. And I'm going to show you a video footage and stuff as well. But apparently what happened, from, some of the details that we've been able to ascertain, is he went there, and it's usual for them to hang out there to buy numbers and whatever it is that they're doing. And he wanted to smoke some of the herb. And so he didn't actually have the baby in his hand because he didn't want to expose the baby to the cigarette smoke. So he essentially left the baby in the car, and he got out, and him and other people that were there were going to have a little smoke. And so a getaway driver and another person masked up come there, and it seems like they were after him because there were other people right there. It wasn't like just random where they were shooting at everybody. They seemed to have been targeting him specifically, and he was shot and killed. And I understand possibly shot twice from what our street sources have said. So it's really, really unfortunate. Now, the other thing that I know is that because this happened in broad daylight, people did see stuff. And this is why I'm hoping that the authorities will be able to capture these individuals pretty quickly, because there were distinguishing things, that observations that people made about the murders. Let's be honest, these kids who are going out there killing people, they're hardcore. Because without a doubt, it's hardcore for you to pull a gun and shoot somebody dead. But they're also not the brightest criminals in the world for the most part. So they will make mistakes. I guess maybe this is a good thing, because then the authorities are able to take them off the streets quicker. And so the getaway car was a champagne colored Honda Fit, and someone who was at the scene followed them and was able to call 911 and say, this is where they're at. This is what they're doing. Now, this person was a bit upset, and I did speak to this person firsthand, and they were a bit upset about how 911 handled the call. And I think a lot of times we don't understand 911 and their protocols and their training and what they have to do. But, they were like, I literally passed a police officer who had pulled someone over, was attending to an accident or something. And they were like, I'm passing a police officer right now. Tell him to turn around and come. And I don't think it's always quite that easy. That sounds like, something out of the movies that happens. So it wasn't really quite that easy to get the person to turn around and come. But, they were at least able to give them a description of the vehicle and also a good idea of where they went. So it looks like what they did was they went down in the Palmdale area, Rosedale area. So even when we were at the scene and we were live streaming the, bringing you an update from the scene, I could see off in the distance that the helicopter was up. So the person also expressed some concerns that the helicopter couldn't get up quicker. And I said, listen, a helicopter, folks, isn't like a car. It's not like you can just jump on it, switch the ignition, and be like, oh yeah, it might take a minute to get the pilot. I don't know where these pilots are at, and I don't know how they work. Are they on shifts? Are they on duty? I don't really know all those details of even how that works, but maybe they had to call somebody and he had to drive in from Bodden Town to get to the airport. I don't know. Are they sitting at the airport during the day? How does this? I have no clue how any of this works with the police helicopter, right? I would think they'd have them on shifts, but I don't really know. And so, eventually they got the bird up and they were in the area using the helicopter to assist them in trying to locate this vehicle. I understand that the vehicle was found. Somebody told me that. And, they, I guess, will be able to see if they can get any forensics off of that vehicle. Now, one of the things that these criminals do, and this is where, folks, you've got to be smart that you're not becoming part and parcel of the problem, is they actually will also find stolen vehicles, abandoned vehicles to then use, right, to carry out these types of crimes. So, do your part, secure your vehicles. I was talking last week to someone, the elderly lady who now had her vehicle stolen twice. I said, listen to me, to the son, because I mean, the old lady, she's not going to know much of what's going on. I said, listen, you need to get your mother, we had them back in the day, you need to get your mother a steering wheel bar. Nobody not going to be able to steal that. Those were simplistic in a way, but effective. You were not stealing no car that had the what was there's one that was really popular name brand. What was it called again? But you weren't stealing nobody's car that had that on there. That was better than any fancy alarm system back in the day. So protect your vehicles, folks. I mean, honestly, if you know that your vehicle could potentially, be used in the commission of a crime, the club. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, if you know that your vehicle might be used in the commission of a crime, because it's so easy to use or to steal for this type of use, then yeah, try to not make that happen. So here's some video, folks. Again, if you're particularly sensitive, I would suggest you probably not watch this. It's nothing gruesome, but it is of the scene quite early on. So we see people in utter distress. There's a little baby. My God. For this baby, thank God the baby's okay. But this baby is going to be traumatized by this. I mean, this is, I think that we have to show the human trauma that happens when a young man is gunned down in broad daylight or in darkness or whatever, because people are hurting as a result of this senseless violence, right? This baby, look at the poor little thing. My God, now has no father. This mother has lost her son, brothers, people are angry. They're upset. You can see, the police and the detectives trying to encourage them to even move away from the ambulance and stuff. This has got to be one of the most difficult things that any mother, any family member really could be going through. So this is horrible. And these young men who are engaging in this level of violence, right? I know you don't care. You think you're macho, you're out in the streets. You don't care about the lives that you have now destroyed. You don't care about the devastation that you have caused. But this is beyond heartbreaking. And this is what you're doing to individual families in this community, and by extension, to the entire community, who now have to deal with this senseless murder and this loss again. I mean, look at the little baby. The little baby doesn't even know what's going on. I mean, look at her. My God. It's just unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. So some sources have revealed that the killers actually had on, the shooter and the driver had on bulletproof vests. This is what the streets are saying. And obviously they went with some real intent here. I don't know what this young man has done. I don't know why anybody would have wanted to kill him. I don't know him. I am just not understanding any of this, except to know that the violence that we see happening in our communities is indicative of something that has been brewing for a very long time. And we've got to get control of it. It's not far off from what's happening in our schools, folks. We see it. And so, we've got to address it. And we have to really start attacking this issue from all different levels, to be quite frank and honest. We can't put the blame on anybody else. It's our young men that are doing this, primarily young men that are doing this, these senseless killings. And it's just absolutely shocking. There was a case in Jamaica over the weekend. A lot of people sent me the footage of that. A picture of a young man, a schoolboy in the 8th grade, who accidentally stepped on an older child's Clark shoes. I think he was like in year 11. And he was beaten so viciously that they were actually looking for a brain scan machine to figure out if this young man has brain damage. And, you know, Jamaican media, they're not shy about anything. They showed his picture, all his face, all swollen and bruised and beaten. And it is just, again, another example of what our children have to face in schools. You can't go to school and accidentally step on somebody's foot without somebody beating you into pulp. It's hard to understand the overall violence of human beings, and hard to understand, the violence of our young people in particular. It's like they've been exposed to, I don't even know what, but it's just different. It's just completely different. The way that they feel and the way that they're trying to resolve their problems is just crazy. There's no, let's talk about it. It is just, oh my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, we look at, I was actually just going to the Jamaican Gleaner to see if I could find this photo, and 48 minutes ago, another story posted. 2 women reportedly shot dead along Spanish Town Road in Kingston this morning, outside the gates of the National Solid Waste Management Authority. It's like every single day you wake up and you read these stories in the news. And I think, so many times people are becoming desensitized. Here's another one. 2 higglers shot dead in McCook's Pen, Spanish Town. That was an hour ago. So an hour and then 48 minutes. And it's like, the violence is just unheard of. So that's already 4 people killed this morning in Jamaica. It's like, what? That's the ones that we know about. There might have been some others that we don't know they're dead yet. So those haven't been reported on. Cayman folks, really, we need to get it together. There's a man who was accused of raping and murdering an 8-year-old child in St. Anne last month. Somehow he escaped police custody over the weekend on the 30th. Don't even know how the heck that happened, but thankfully now they have him back in custody. I don't know. It's just appalling. I can tell you, not that long ago, nobody in Cayman would believe you if you told them that a young man could be gunned down in the streets at 10:30 in the morning on a Friday morning in broad daylight in the Cayman Islands. The last one we had gunned down, 4:45 or whatever time it was in the afternoon in Bodden Town. The brazenness with which this violence is occurring in our community, the brazenness with which our children are fighting at schools, like they just don't care. Nobody can do anything to them. There are no consequences. It just doesn't matter, is what is incredibly shocking. And we really have got to get to the root cause of it. We need to spend more money on helping people who are at risk at the earliest stages of their journey. Because trust me, by the time these kids get to high school, I'm not saying it's too late, but the type of action that you have to take, the type of remediation that you have to deploy in order to undo 15 years of destructive living and of being exposed to violence and all sorts of abuse and all that kind of stuff, it's beyond difficult, right? You know the old saying that once you break a vase, trying to put it back together, trying to glue it back together is near impossible. That really is what we're talking about. That's the level at which we have to understand this. We have got to start early. The earlier, folks, the better. We have got to address single mothers who are having these children too young and they're not ready. They're not ready for the commitment. But before we even get to single mothers, we have to address, adult men who are preying on these young girls to even make them single mothers to begin with. We have to address the abuse that our children are having to endure on a daily basis. All of that matters. I keep saying that child abuse is one of the leading causes of issues later on in life, and that includes violence, that includes, sociopathic behavior, all these things, and yet nobody in this island wants to take this issue seriously enough. Schools are refusing. Let me try to put it in context, right? About 3 weeks ago, someone sent me, and a few of you actually sent it to me, this literature where you're saying, Mario Rankin was talking about how this is what was being taught in schools, something about tolerance within the LGBTQ community. And I said, well, I reached out to the school in question, and it's not part of the curriculum. It's something that had been used 2 years ago for high school students. And I think the material was just poorly designed, to be honest, if they were trying to teach tolerance. But anyway, it was interesting that you guys will hyper focus on that, right? But nobody wants to talk about why can't we have appropriate education in school to arm children so that they don't become victims, or if they become victims, the sooner they speak up, the better. Because the churches have said, no, we can't teach sex education in our schools. We can't teach, not even sex education. We can't teach our children how to protect themselves from predators or what to do if you're molested, because the churches see that as, oh, no, we can't talk about sexuality ever. Why hasn't that ever been something that has, ruffled your feathers and got you upset? But this one little sheet of paper, which was about, what's your sexual orientation? Are you accepting of other people who are different than you? Blah, blah, blah. That gets all of you up in arms, and you're sending me this foolishness. I'm like, really? That is your focus. Your focus isn't the children that are being abused in this country on a regular basis. Your focus isn't the over-sexualization of children, right? In our communities. It's not children who are growing up in these abusive and dysfunctional homes. I wish that that's what really got you going and what got you upset. And those are the things that you wanted to change, because that's the only way that we're going to get any meaningful change in this community. Good morning, caller.
Morning. A lot of some of the issues that you're talking about there are important, but I think one of at the core of what's going on is the moral system by which people are operating.
You said the moral system?
Yes, the moral. Yeah, the moral. Because what we really need is, we need children from the time they're young to grow up understanding why it's beneficial for all of us, including them, to not just, commit such crimes against people. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to prevent something, the most effective way of doing it is having the person who would be committing this crime understand why they shouldn't engage in it in the first place. And what we're really talking about is an effort from the time the child is very young. Because if you wait until a child gets to high school and you're trying to teach them morality, that's like trying to bend a tree after it has grown. And that's the losing battle. And so, like if we think about how our society works, we have the freedoms and enjoy a degree of prosperity because there's this understanding that, when you're walking down the road and you cross someone on the sidewalk, your expectation is that person isn't just going to attack you and take everything from you. I'm not saying you shouldn't be aware of that. I'm just saying that the reason we enjoy the benefits of society the way we do is because, generally speaking, that's not what happens. And we need all of our citizens to understand why that's beneficial to us, and why, if people were to engage in those types of crimes, how that actually negatively impacts society. Because if you have to spend tons of money on law enforcement instead of spending it on education or better roads or better administration of the country, it's not rocket science to see. But of course, if you don't understand how these things trickle down and affect our lives, because you're a child and you just don't comprehend, what that really means is that adults need to take up the challenge to ensure that we raise our children to the best of our ability, understanding what is acceptable, what is not, principles, concepts that make us a peaceful, secure society, and how that benefits us. That's our challenge as adults. It's not the children per se, because children are they're blank slates that we mold, right? So I just hope that we as adults would not just say to ourselves, well, this is the way it's always been when I was going to school
absolutely
20
not.
years ago. It's always been like that. We need to actually do something about it.
Yes.
And it's all those things that you're talking about earlier. Yeah. But make sure that your children understand why it negatively impacts society to commit crimes.
Yeah.
That's what I think the
majority
of the focus should be. Take care.
Appreciate it. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we're going to continue with your calls and your comments this morning.
Friends, Caymanians, Whopper fans, I do declare that this king is angry. The Angry Whopper is back after 4 years. Flame grilled quarter pounder topped with melted pepper jack cheese, hot angry sauce, crispy angry onions, iceberg lettuce, jalapenos, and tomato. But that is not all. You can now get angry everything. Angry chicken, angry fish, even angry breakfast. Ask for angry at Burger King and we'll add pepper jack cheese, angry sauce, angry onions, and jalapenos to any sandwich. Angry everything is here for a limited time only, and only at Burger King.
I'm Kenneth Bryan, Minister for Tourism and Ports, and I need your help to keep our beautiful islands clean. Littering is unsightly and negatively impacts our tourism industry, which is crucial to our economy. Keeping our islands clean is everyone's responsibility, so let's all work together to keep the Cayman Islands beautiful for generations to come.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
Ocean Ridge Heights offers an amazing opportunity to own a piece of land in idyllic Cayman Brac, right on the bluff, starting from $80,000. Located in a quiet residential area with high elevation, these lots are ideal for a future home or investment property and are sure to go fast. Cayman Brac offers a laid-back lifestyle, amazing pristine diving, limestone caves, diverse flora, along with amazing wildlife. Inquire about the owner financing options so that you can secure your piece of paradise today. With only a few lots remaining, these are sure to go before you know it. Contact Crichton Properties today on 345-949-5250 or info@crichtonproperties.com.
Recover personal injury attorneys, helping injured people get what they deserve. Did you know that insurance companies have lawyers that represent their interests? Before signing and accepting any settlement, know your rights. Call us today for a free consultation at 924-9999. That's 924-9999. Recover. Your personal injury attorneys are on standby to assist.
All right, folks, the phone lines are open 936-2626. We have a few people sending some comments via WhatsApp. So this person says the following. They says, they don't want to talk about failing inspections, but children also lead by watching their parents. If morality is not modeled at home, it will not be replicated by children. I mean, that's 1,000% correct. You can't tell your children one thing and do something else. Children learn, folks, by what they see demonstrated before them. And so that's why when I say these children are acting out in school, and I know a lot of you are like, oh yeah, they're not getting enough of beating them, but I'm not beating them behind. They're actually seeing a lot of violence, including themselves being subjected to it, themselves being beaten for whatever. That's not the issue here. The issue is they're actually seeing too much violence in their homes. And so they're taking that into the schools and they're acting that out. And that's the only way that they know how to resolve a problem. These children have siblings, younger siblings, older siblings. Do you think that they know how to sit down and have a conversation with their siblings when they're upset about something? No, they're beating each other up, just like what you see here. And I don't know what the response is at home, but I'd be willing to put probably a good $5 on it if I was a betting woman, that their parents probably pull them apart and then beat them both. Violence begets violence, folks, and it's as simple as that. Now, this person is wondering about the judiciary's role in some of this hot mess of a situation. Let's bring it home, folks. There was also, it was disclosed in the media, you guys might have seen the story, that a gun that was seized in the Cayman Islands has been linked to multiple murders in Jamaica. So, every time we have a conversation about these illegal boats coming in and we talk about the dangers of that, I know some of y'all think it's funny. You're like, oh yeah, legalize the ganja, make the weed come in. Why y'all stopping these boats? Well, the truth of the matter is these boats are not just bringing in marijuana, but they're bringing, because that's an illegal trade that's making a lot of money for people. They're bringing all sorts of drugs, cocaine, marijuana, only God knows what else, fentanyl, whatever else is coming this way. They're also bringing in guns and ammunition. And so to hear now that we know that at least 5 murders in Jamaica have been connected to a firearm that was found in this jurisdiction, if that does not raise a lot of eyebrows, I don't know what should. This is appalling, it's shocking, and it demonstrates the criminal connections between Cayman and Jamaica and other jurisdictions to a lesser degree as well. But the connections between here and Jamaica are very, very strong. Criminals talk to each other. Okay? They have access to guns and ammunition and intelligence. So that's why anytime we see someone on the loose in Jamaica, like, oh, this person has gotten away from the authorities and they're running, the first thing we do is we're going to cover it in the news, because it's not going to be long before they're going to end up either on our shores, or they might try to go to Haiti. But given what's going on in Haiti, that's not really the place to be. You're more likely to die the second you get there. They want to come to Cayman, where they can hide undercover, where they can walk around in broad daylight and nobody knows who they are, because they fit right in with every other person that's walking around on Eastern Avenue or wherever. Oh, that was kind of strong today, Miss Stacy. She must have wanted me to really go off on y'all this morning. Woo. Let me add a little bit of water to that, honey chill. So, yes, I mean, this is what's happening. At least 5 murders. This sounds like a community gun. Imagine the ones that they've not even forensically linked it to. And here's the thing. it is entirely possible that it's way more than that. One of the things that happens in Cayman is, guns are too readily accessible, but there was a time, and this probably still happens, when there was like the community sharing of guns. So what they would do is they would say, okay, the mango tree over there and behind the shed, behind wherever, that's where the gun is going to be kept. And everybody who lives in say, I don't know, Goat Yard or whatever, are part of a particular gang, they know this is where the community gun is, because it's not like everybody's got a gun yet. Okay. Now, if you go and use the gun, so say you want to rob a local store, you go utilize the weapon, you're supposed to put it back. There have been people who have been killed and who have lost their lives because they broke the rules. They didn't put the gun back. And other people didn't have access to the gun to commit crimes. Right here in this jurisdiction, telling you not a word of lie, there have been people who've been killed as a result of not following the gang rules. So this firearm came into this country at some point in time and now has been linked to at least the death of 5 people in Jamaica, and it's on our streets and has been seized by the RCIPS. Someone just said to me, Sandy, what about a few weeks ago, 2 Jamaicans were caught on Liberty Lane with ganja and an AK-47. Remember that, when we were shocked to hear that there was an AK-47 on our streets? They said, what about the fact that they were granted bail and they left the island that night by boat back to Jamaica? What is our judicial system doing? They are to blame for this situation also. I actually didn't hear that they were granted bail and they've absconded, so this is news to me this morning, because I'm shocked. Why would I want to know who granted them bail. Now, this is a story that I'm legitimately going to chase up here this morning, because this is when it demonstrates that the judiciary is actually clueless about what's happening in this country. Why would you grant bail to foreign nationals? I bet you they're probably illegally landed in this country, right? They probably came in by boat the same way that they left. You can pay, I forget what the going rate is to pay to get transported between Cayman and Jamaica by boat, but apparently there's a going rate, and the people who are in the business of doing that. Why did they not see them as an immediate flight risk? So now they've absconded the jurisdiction and they have left. On what grounds did they get bail? Now, I know I've told y'all before, there is a presumption in favor of bail. So pretty much you're going to get bail for everything, even murder, if the arguments are right. Oh yeah, we'll put a whatchamacallit, ankle bracelet on them so we know where they are. Oh, please. Those are the easiest things in the world, apparently, to remove. If you're motivated, you will take that off in 2 twos. So now they've left the jurisdiction, and guess what? They're not going to be gone for long. They'll be back here in no time, seeing where they left on these illegal boats. Unbelievable. Now, do we know for sure that they've left the jurisdiction? They might be hiding out here. This is a slackness where the judiciary also needs to be held accountable. You don't let certain people out on bail. Come on. If this didn't flash flight risk, I don't know what would. Seriously. No, sir. Pure slackness. Dominique, good morning. Says we need less negative influences in our community, Cayman. Well, woo, Dominique, y'all not ready to have that conversation this morning. Trust and believe. Some of the stuff that I was seeing yesterday being sent to me from boat shows. Let me show this, and I hope that none of these have any profanity in them. Let me see. Let me ask Kevin, because he pulled them for me. But the slackness and the pure, oh my God, this is next level. And it not just on the boat cruises. I'm going to show you all some videos that somebody sent me from one of these local bar establishments. What they have going on there. It's like we have imported a degree of slackness that is unbelievable. We have gone from one extreme to the next. Trust me. Okay? And then at one point they said the party's going to continue at Everglow Bar and everywhere closes at 12 o'clock. But they were like, oh, we're going to go to Everglow Bar anyway. In the video, one of the guys from Famous in the video collecting money in a bucket. There's straight up prostitution. There is, I don't know if y'all ready for this? Are y'all really ready for the cold hard truth of what we're allowing to happen in this country? And I know y'all get upset, you know. When I show these videos, they're like, well, Sandy, you picking on the Jamaicans. No, I'm not. There's a lot of good, decent Jamaicans who are not into this slack lifestyle. So if you're insulted by this, then there's a reason why you're insulted by this, because the cap must fit. Have a look. Look at this. This is what is happening, folks. This is a typical boat cruise, I'm understanding. This is what happened. This was being live streamed yesterday by our friends over at Everything 345, because y'all think this is entertainment. Look at this. Look at the vulgarity. Dragging the man, dry humping him. I mean, y'all, this is nasty. But this is a lifestyle. See? Look at that. One of them gonna jump on him and break his neck. Look at this. The G-strings, the wild nakedness, practically. The poor guy look like he getting hurt. All these women tell him, roll over, roll over. We're gonna jump on you. And look. Hold on. Back that video up. You see this one coming here now with the white outfit? That one right there. Look at her breasts hanging out. Nakedness and debauchery and everything else. And listen, I'm not trying to be no morality police here, but there comes a point in time. Look at her chest. That's against the law. Y'all, they don't leave these people alone when they want to go around dressing however they want to go. Why are you making fun of what her name was? The one with the chest open, the green jacket. Listen to me. Y'all don't have a clue what the underbelly of Cayman really looks like. I'm not saying that I have a clue either, but thanks to social media, we get to have a little bit of a glimpse. Look at this. Really? This is what we're allowing? This is what we bring in promoters into this country for? To make money off of this nastiness? Caller, good morning.
Good morning. But my question is, who's approving the dance license? That is the question.
I don't even know.
That's a simple question. If we, the public, can see it, why is it that these licenses are still being approved for these dancers to come in? They're called.
But it's not even. I mean, I don't know who. I don't know. Is this woman with this feather-looking thing? Is she a dancer? I mean, I don't know who these people are.
They're all dancers that came in on Friday to leave or something.
But obviously, some of these people must live here too.
No, it's not the first time. If you sit down and realize every event that goes on in Cayman, they bring in dancers. Who's at fault for this license? Who's approving them? It's a question to ask, and it's either DCI or the government is just plain blind to the situation. If this is going to be allowed, you must just open the strip club. Just open the strip club and make it legal. Because it's not the first time that we, the society, see this bullshit going on.
Boy, look here.
I don't want to be blind.
No, sir. This is it. This is it, folks. And this is what people enjoy. This is what they're into. I mean, this video is quite long. I can't even show you. I mean, look at this. Look at the nastiness. I mean, you can go have a good time on a boat cruise and don't have to be going on like this, you know? You know, this is the Jamaican dance hall lifestyle that we've imported. And if y'all don't believe that there's a degree of criminality that comes with this, y'all are highly mistaken. Look here. Right? Where's, oh, there's a money. What's the money for? Who gets this money? How does it work? They got more money in that hand than you can collect at church. So you're saying a lot. Is that weed in your can? We don't want to smoke of ganja. The police are ignoring all sorts of behavior that goes on these boat cruises. Why? Because half of them got interest in it too. Look here, they had to get a bigger bucket because the money overflowing. Yeah, they had to get a second bucket now. I mean, really and truly. Who that old man is in this video? What you doing there? No, sir. He there to see some of the freakiness that's going on. Oh my God. This is it. Here's another one. Plenty of them to go around. Look here. Unbelievable. Let me get the other video clips ready because they're not the only things that's going on. Right? Y'all want to see stripping and all that stuff in the streets that came on? Hold on. Hold on. Let me hold on. This video now. Wait now. There's more. Unfortunately, there is more. No, sir. I tell you what, this is ridiculous, man. Y'all need to get it together, K-Man. This kind of thing shouldn't be allowed. And they're so open with it now that obviously there is zero fear of repercussion. It's like, oh, it's a free-for-all. The nastiness is here and it's allowed and it can stay and we can do whatever and, you know, just bring everything in. All right, let me show y'all. And I know one particular person, I'm not calling his name, it begins with a D. He'll be cussing me after the show. Sandy, why you got a problem with strippers? I said, really? Some new strip club opened up. I know Roper had one that, first of all, I don't know how they really make any money because the truth of the matter is there's so much going on the slackness side that they don't need to have a proper strip club because y'all not gonna go and pay for it where those girls are expecting to get tipped all $100 because y'all not doing that. You give them the $2. So, you know, you get really nasty and low down when you go to the $2 level. But I hear there's some new strip club again. And Mr. D invited me. But Sandy, I know you're going to be judging them unfairly. Why don't you come and have a look first? Who? Who you talking to? Who you talking to? I must come and engage in watching this slackness. You must be wanting Aunt Lottie to kill you. No, sir. Not gonna be me, but listen, no. First of all, I don't need it. There's certain things in life that my eyes just don't need to see. And this is definitely at the top of the list. All right. So this one now is at, let me tell you the name of the bar. Hold on. Ultra Lounge. Isn't that the one on Smith Road? The same one where the owner got arrested for gun possession, the little fat guy? And they had to let him out on bail because he couldn't survive jail without eating for him. He was losing weight. I said, but this son got about 150 pounds he could lose. Let him stay in jail. And he come out one cock and made me a story about this firearm and how he kept it. He found it accidentally and then decided to keep it because he was scared. And so the first trial ended with a hung juror because they didn't know what to believe. Poor y'all. And I can talk about jurors here in a minute because the jurors ain't got no sense in this country. But we soon come to them, honey child. Wait for it. You're going to be surprised when I tell you about them fools. So here we go. Here's more. Okay. All right. Strip club. Money on the floor. Throwing the water money. Yes, honey child. This is where it's at. This is Ultra Lounge, apparently. So do they get to
Just go next week.
wear anything, an old clothes, pair of clothes, just like a man.
Okay, so this is how it goes. Yeah. See? There we go. All the winding up and gyration and, dry humping and whatever going on right now. Yep. I'm holding the that's handle on that. That's on follow. Wait for it. I thought Ubers were legal something. This is the underbelly of Cayman, where apparently at least it's not be foolish, that's what they want to pretend to be. Now this is a new definition of cleaning out. Okay. Lord Jesus, please take the wheel. My God. This is Cayman, folks. It's not Miami. It's not Jamaica. It's not Honduras. This isn't Cuba. This is Ultra Lounge on Smith Road. Right across from school, by the way. Thank God the school is open at night, but I'm just saying. Damn that. Wow. And so they're so bold. They share it all over TikTok and social media, as you can see. They don't have no qualms about doing any of that because, it's so widely acceptable in this community, apparently. Let's see what y'all thinking about this situation. Garrett says, I'm not surprised. Symphonies by the Reef says the games as well that they play, for example, GTA, is also good reason that young people tend to head towards violence and rage. Somebody was asking about private schools. Damien says, why is it that we don't see this type of violence and behavior in private schools? We've talked about that before. I think there's a number of reasons why. One of the main reasons why is that private schools are not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. You get expelled, you get kicked out. Government schools, pretty much no matter what you do, they can't get rid of you. You can still be here. Right? And people have to still be putting up with you. There's a young lady who has been tormenting children forever. You guys know that I've had to put her in her place once already over the weekend. There's a video of her breaking in to a primary school, right? John A. Cumber Primary. So we shared that and tagged the RCIPS and says, here's a video of these kids breaking into John A. Cumber Primary School. What are you going to do about it? Anything? No consequences. They're going to sit back and wait. Then the second she becomes an adult, which by then it's already too late, then they're going to start putting her behind in jail for all the different infractions that she's going to be engaging in. The behavior starts early, folks. Very, very early. And if you want to do something about it, you can't wait. You have got to start early as well. And the audacity of these children breaking in, they just climb the gates of primary school, walking around, and then they have the nerves to live stream it on Instagram with no fear of anything. See them here? I'm going to mute this one because I'm sure it is full of profanity. Because there are some foul-mouthed little girls. You see them there. See them there again? Live streaming, breaking into a government school, government property on Instagram. They should have been arrested over the weekend. And I bet you, look at them, destroying our schools. I bet you they're not done a damn thing yet this morning. She probably showed up at John Gray High School this morning, acting like she's big and bad again. Who does this with no consequences? You think if they had went and broke into any of these private schools that they'd be walking around free this morning? No, well, that wouldn't have happened. Our government schools that barely have any resources, these children up in there vandalizing and stealing stuff. Huh? Right? after the video went out, somebody said, oh yeah, same one tormenting my daughter again. Because once again, this is the 28th. Hello, Sandra. So-and-so is at it again, bullying people. I said, oh, yes. No consequences. Nobody not going to do nothing about her. Unbelievable. This person says, good morning, Sandy. This is what Cayman has come to because the government of the day, the PPM, allowed it because that gave them a kick too. If we don't stop these Jamaican promoters, we worse than Jamaica, and we need to step our foot down on this crap. This person says, call out the parents. Yes, slackness. Pure slackness. Value, this person says, what value do these females place on their bodies? None. Their wombs. We have fallen away from substance and gone for style, and the style is trying to outdo one another with vulgarity. Value equals respect, or more importantly, self-respect. Well, none of that is in any of these videos, that's for sure. This person says that boy Adrian from Famous Restaurant and his Caymanian wife brings in these people all the time. Remember the mother and father and mix up with permit. Mm-hmm. Yep. Listen to me. I hate to say it, but when it comes to the people who are promoting this kind of lifestyle and who are bringing these in, it is the Jamaican community, right? Everybody, and now not everybody, but you know what I mean. I'm going to use this very, very loosely. We have far too many so-called promoters here that are bringing people in. Everybody wants to be a promoter. Now listen, if they bring in somebody like Spice, she's a little bit raunchy. You know, promoters bring her in. Audiences want to go and watch her and see her. But this is even lowballing it for Spice. This takes it to a whole other level. And if you don't think what comes out of that then is prostitution, all this other stuff, you'd be sadly mistaken. In fact, I understand that there are people here who, you know, come in again, don't have any legitimate work, and what they're doing to make money and to survive and to send money home is prostitution. I should say that I know this with a degree of certainty because sometimes they reach out to me and says, oh, you know, my friend, she's having a really hard time and, you know, she not got no money and this and that. And I said, well, how's she surviving? Well, right now she's just prostituting herself because there are men who will pay for that, as think as it is. There's still men who can pay for it, apparently. And then go home to their wives, giving them God knows what. You gotta have standards, folks. You gotta have standards. This is the mess now that we have imported into this country, and I think that we got to do better. This can't be what it is that we are aiming to become. This ain't it. This little rock of 70,000 people has this kind of carrying on in her streets and at bars and nightclubs and boat cruises. You'd probably catch an STD touching that pole, child. This person says, tell them the cold hard truth. Disgusting Jamaican dance hallways, nasty. STD rubbing up on everyone. This person says, good morning, Sandy. Have you seen where the JPS man went to work, leave his woman home and come out of work early in the morning and find his woman in the room with another man? Oh, Lord. And he shot and killed the man in his own house. Jeez and peace. No, I did not see that one. Good morning, Sandra speaking. You trying to call the show, my dear? 936-2626. Yeah, 936-2626. 936. 2626. Okay, dear, no problem. Oh Lord, that's a JPS man. Miss Sandy is a Jamaican. In that video, any female looking after people, kids should go. What a shame. Another person says, hint, hint to the caller's question. The same person that puts on the dances are on the board for approval. Who that? Come on, give me the names now. So the same person that puts on the dances is on the board for approval. Well, I declare we need to know who that is. This person says it boils my blood that this kind of nastiness is allowed here. No wonder Jamaica is such a hellhole. Good morning. Mr. Town Hall needs to take one of those boat cruises when he comes back. Lord Jesus, no. He read it talking about he saw too many Jamaicans taxi drivers. Imagine what he would say that. But then again, he did say he was looking for nightclubs and stuff, so he might enjoy that. I don't know. That's not our culture, but he might still have a good time. Thank you so much. Miss Sandy, morning, had to come off the show a few minutes. Had to go pay my light bill. I'm broke. Oh gosh. Can you help me with some groceries, please, for me and the babies? Not even water I have. Oh my God. What a mess. All right, let's see who else we got here now making some comments. Let's see. Oh gosh, somebody says, who's going to fill in for you while you're gone? How are we going to get updates? Well, I'm taking the full 2 weeks off. There will be no morning show, but not to fear. We'll be back. All right. Let me see some other comments here now. The accident at Bobby Thompson's. Oh, that was last night. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for everything that you're doing to help us in this island.
Thank you, ma'am.
This thing that about prostitution in Cayman, this is old. Stuff has been going on here, and everybody is turning their heads. Now, I know for a fact that you can find at 3 o'clock on a Friday night going into Saturday morning, you said 3 o'clock, right? In the morning. There is prostitute in front of Miss Rose Parsons' house by Kentucky Fried Chicken. Standing up, and the cars is stopping. I had to take a friend to Georgetown Hospital at around 2:30, 2:45 in the morning, and you will be shocked at the Jamaican women standing out there with the lady of the night gear on. You know what I mean when you say lady of the night?
And to be clear, this issue of prostitution runs across most imported nationalities. We bring them into work in these bars and coming as so-called performers or domestic helpers, and they're not getting paid and they don't have a real job.
The bar that's up in Portland Road, where the lady went and she got killed. Dina Donna, she was married to some West Bay guy, and she went and she got killed trying to cross the border. She left here. They deported her from here, and she left. And I don't know. She must have been trying to get into the States.
Oh, but wait a minute.
She must have been mixed up with some wrong.
No. Hold on. She didn't get killed because I remember her reaching out to us. Apparently, she did get shot, but she managed to survive. I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where she is now. But we had initially heard that they had managed to kill her. But
she was the one that was bringing in the women and making them dance on table up in Portland Road.
Oh, geez, I'm peace.
You see, the thing about it, it is only you that is our savior now that will come out and tell and wake up the eyes of these people here. Because a lot of Caymanians, you tell this thing to, oh, no, that don't go on, yeah? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, sorry to tell them there's behind time. There's all kind of nastiness going on. But do Caymanians know that prostitution was around up in Holiday Inn in Galleon Beach? Do they know that they had a Cayman woman who she's passed away now? May God bless her soul. I'm not trying to, not because she's dead, but I'm not trying to be ridiculous about her, if you know what I mean, but I'm going to speak the truth. She was collecting young Cayman girls and carrying them around the hotel. And this island is too small for all what's been going on. And selling around here, selling. A woman told me her car broke down somewhere on Eastern Avenue and she parked it. And when she started to walk, hoping that she would get a ride with some Caymanian or get a bus or something, 2-3 cars stopped and asked her how much. She said, what do you want? She said, I want a little ting now on Eastern Avenue. But this thing with prosecution, all the slackness has been going on, Sandra, and they're turning their heads. You know why they're turning their heads? Because the very big ups that we think. Listen to me, Sandra, this morning. The very people that you see beating down that church door, popping off them church handles, and teaching to get in. And
now you're talking it. Now you're talking it.
What the word is now, it begins with a P. I can't even remember it now. High profile positions. It's the ones that is entertaining all of this. And they're bringing them here and they're putting them up in condominiums. And they got wife and children. And running a racket. It is not the little old Dr. Common boy you see along the road.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Somebody said pressure got bust pipe today. Speak the truth.
It is not the little common boy, it's not the little boy who's selling one little stick of ganja or begging. It is the big high-ups, and you will be shocked. And another thing, when some of the big high-ups now got no money, they look to sell the drugs and pick up themselves again. It is not the little common Caymanian. And it's the ones that go into church. The children is in a private school and they got 2-3 business and you all wonder where it all coming from. People are not stupid. People know. I mean, your mind will wonder and you got to have proof.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something this morning. All of this what you see going on here is all news.
Yeah.
And it's been going on and been going on from the high ups. You all have a good day. And
Thank
God
you, honey.
bless you for what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay,
and
baby.
As the caller says, a lot of people surprised. Here, Miss Sue. Miss Sue says, so right, Sandy. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable to me and you because we're not out in these streets doing this kind of foolishness. However, you know, like as the caller rightfully said, we've heard the stories. All these listen, you have it from the top all the way down. So some past leaders of this country, I'm not talking about the current ones that we got to know, but some past leaders of this country go out on these boat cruises with these so-called rich and entitled people. And same thing, like she said, they round up the nice looking girls. They're going to be a little bit more high class than what you saw there. Cause that's low class, boom, boom. Trust me. Right. But they can find the high class ones, take them out on the boat, give them drugs and ride around with them. And they're having all this debauchery on the high seas. Same politicians. Some of the stories that I've heard about what they do. Same boat business, except it not quite like this. There's a Jamaican dance hall group, but the rich people doing the same thing. All kind of sexcapades and sex party and swapping and this and that and all kind of foolishness. There's one individual, I heard some very interesting stories about him. Now that one landed me in court already. The only conviction I've ever had. So you put 2 and 2 together and you should get 4. You hear the nastiness about how they're into these fetishes where they want the women to urinate on them and then they can pay them money and all kind of stuff. Listen, there's some real nastiness that be going on around the place, you know? And right here on this little rock that we call Cayman, talking about we are a Christian society, but yet y'all turning a blind eye to all this kind of foolishness. Lots of it happening. Like I said, it does not seem to make a difference, whether it's rich, poor, or in between. What a hot mess. No, sir. Reading your comments. Yes, Kurt Monroe. Poor him. Talking about he was starving up in jail. They had to let him out so he wouldn't lose any weight and he could survive. But, you know, this is the kind of foolishness. Now, Kurt Monroe grew up in a good home. You know, his parents are Jamaicans. They tried to do right by him. But, of course, give him this nightclub business. And this is what happens with their children. Somebody was talking about peer pressure. This is a perfect example of how if you don't raise children that have, you know, a good foundation, they will succumb to peer pressure. You know? If you're not spending time with your children, really getting to know them and build up their self-esteem, just because you got on a little bit extra weight don't mean nothing, Kurt. You'll be perfectly fine. There are lots of women who love a man with a lot of meat on him, child. And they would treat you good and be the best wife in the world. But you see, he not got no self-esteem. So what he does, because he don't have any self-esteem, he's out in these streets trying to pretend to be the bad guy. He's not no gangster, but he wants to be he want to be gangster. So he out there pretending, throwing up all these signs and want to be a gangster and whatever. I'm like, what? So of course he went and found this gun. Whatever his cockamamie story is about how he found it. He probably kept it to impress people, not because he was really afraid. His defense is, oh, he afraid. Really and truly, he was trying to impress people. Oh, I'm a gangster. I got a gun. And them same people went and talk on you, you damn fool, and told police that you got a gun. Because they came to your residence with a search warrant, knew exactly what they were looking for. How they knew you had gun? Because you wasn't scared enough to keep it to yourself. Yeah, they're bragging and showing it to other people. So, folks, whatever your children look like, if they're fat, they're skinny, they're light skinned, they're dark skinned, nappy hair, straight hair, whatever, please build up their self-esteem so that they don't have to be out in these streets trying to pretend to be something that they're not. Because that creates a whole other mess of a situation. Vicky said that she don't mess with the right kid yet. That one day in that video, yeah, well, she don't get it. It can either be that or jail time. Garrett says, promoters, do you mean pimps? Yes, well, they're promoting the pimpation. Oh. Let me see here now. Okay. So to clarify what that caller was saying, I didn't think she died. So this person showed a picture of her. No, she's not dead. In fact, she just posted a couple days ago on social media. She's living in the States. She works in the US. She's been up there a few months after the shooting. She entered the US. And famous deputy director for another government agency. Now, this is a problem, and this is part of why we need to clean up government. Now, I know Mr. France Manderson and getting his feelings this morning, but France, you need to listen, and you need to listen carefully. I'm not talking about all of your civil servants. The vast majority, I'm sure, are good, hardworking people, and maybe they want to be that what he calls it, what his thing is, whatever he calls it about civil servants. But right now, people calling up some of your deputies and different border control agencies and so on, who are known for prostitution, who are known to be engaged in some of this behavior themselves. So how can we point fingers at any outsider when we have our own Caymanians, high-ranking officials, high-ranking politicians, high-ranking civil servants, also engaging in this kind of behavior and no repercussions? They get to keep their jobs. And then everybody out in the streets talking about it. How do you think that makes us look? We look like a bunch of contradictory fools. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Boy, pressure busting really tight today. What kind of pressure cooker you cooking with this morning? Jesus God, you better step away from that pressure cooker when you take that off the stove. Listen, Sandy, let me explain. I'm pretty much 51 right now, and this stuff has been going on from way back when.
Yes.
How many of y'all remembered? You might have been in the States by then, but how many of y'all remember Farmer's Bright Spot? What do you think they call it? I've
heard the name, but yeah.
They had the same thing going on Farmers. They had the same thing going on at Rocket Club. They had the same thing where they were flying strippers in and having parties up in East End years gone by, right?
All these sessions.
These sessions that's been going on, and You had areas where, I mean, you had a place on Westbury Road, bright and bold, where you had a little back room, and you go into the back room, you pay, you had to leave your phone outside, and you go in, and the girls would dance for you. And depending on what you had, you could make arrangements off compound. And it's still been going on, and it's still been going on. And that's the thing that will always be going on, because whoever has the money will have to say. You understand? And people will turn a blind eye. I mean, I remember you covering a story, and I've never heard the back end of it yet, but whatever happened to the school down Westbury Road where the students had got drunk and this and that, whatever. Who was held responsible for that?
Nobody.
I've never heard anything more about that back end story. That story came up and it died.
Yes, because it was Kathy Williams. So again, they rich people with money. So
right. But if that was a Cayman, that child would have been taken away from them.
I don't know about that either, to be honest. I'm not convinced the system would have done much there either. But
I don't know.
Everybody seems to be failing our children, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. So one of those things keeps on going on. That's the reason why I think CBC stopped that 3 months permit thing, because they used to bring them in for 3 months and then use them out for 3 months and then send them back home. Right. And it's still going on. And there's times where people put ads up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and where they're actually doing it online. Bold and beautiful, doing it online. And they fly in, they do it for a couple of days, and they fly right back out.
Yeah.
And it's been going on, and it's going to be hard. It's hard to stop it when you're engaging in it, when you're part of the situation. You're part of the problem. So, I mean, like I said, from the time I remember hearing my parents talking about, or my mom talking about, them people down by farmers and them places down by Rocket Club. They were the places where we're not allowed to go to. Even when I used to go play racquetball with D Knight, you know, the one that passed away. You know, we were not allowed to go upstairs. You know, we were allowed to stay in one spot, and trust me, it was you could see going on bright and bold. So it started from then. So the horse already left the stable, and it's hard to get it back unless you do a full cleanup.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate it. All right. Magdalene says imported labor cheap. These persons need to support their families back home, and so they'll do anything. Andrew says these local men were entertaining it too. Wives at home and they out supporting these ladies on the road. That's true. I mean, obviously they gotta have somebody to have sex with. They're not doing it with themselves or by themselves. Some people's closet can't open too much. Skeletons dying with laughter. Make the skeletons fall out. Where there are buyers, there will be sellers, says Magdalene. Absolutely. Thank you, caller. Reflying them in. That's been happening. Aliana says, you know how much money one of those 304 can make in 3 months? What is 304? How much money one of those 304 can make in 3 months? You lost me now. I don't even know what the heck 304 is. Next caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Happy Sunday.
Hi there.
It's me, Johan. Promise you're not going to cuss me out this time.
You're calling before 10:30. You're trying a thing.
Well, I figure I can't get cussed out if it's before 10:30. And God knows I'm sick and tired of people asking if you and I broke up. You can't leave me. You belong to me in Marlon. Just remember that.
Lord have mercy, Johan. Why you don't try and behave yourself?
And just for the record, you can keep your dry up brownies too. Let me tell you that. Let me get that off my chest. But
Johan, I can make brownies before I go away, so make sure you come and get them.
You can keep your brownies.
We know you coming. Don't be trying to lie on the radio.
No. I bring in Chris. If I come, I bring in Chris. So make sure you make
Chris
it up.
who? That's what I thought.
You can't cuss it before 10:30. I'm smart. Listen, understanding. I hear you. I hear where you're going. But come on now. This is 2023. People have been stressed. People living up and doing whatever they need to do and chasing women and paying for women is part and parcel of life. You know, you can't be out in government officials or people, and I think you were referring to somebody in the uniform branches and stuff like that, or people in the uniform branches. You know how many politicians exist today and have existed previously and have been in roles whereby they bankroll the lives of several barmaids and all of the gentlemen out there in society that are the poppies that look after everybody and so on and so forth. Let's not be hypocrites about this thing. There's an economy that goes on in Cayman where people are prepared to spend money to ease the pressure, you know, have fun, have a laugh, you know, do whatever it is. It's no different than when there's a boys' trip that goes anywhere.
Johan, where are you planning on going with this conversation? You're going to tell me you support prostitution or what?
I'm not saying that. No, I'm too cheap for that. But what I'm saying to you is, I really am. You'll not, if you ever hear that Johan gave a woman money, you know it's a lie, because you know I just don't get down like that. But what I'm saying to you is, for it to be the biggest issue, or for this bombshell and how slack it is in Ray, it happens. It has been happening.
But Johan,
there are people here.
If you can't make the link, this is where now you need to be able to tie things together. If you can't make the link between the overall demise of our moral compass, right? This is but one example. This isn't the only example, but this is but one example of us importing, right? Slackness. We have our own, and on top of it, we're going to import slackness and compound the situation. This is one example. It seeps into all facets of your life. So we've imported it. Some of us have imported it by the slackness that we call husbands and wives, that we had married, marriages of convenience. Then you turn around and have children with those people. Your children aren't learning anything good. They're not learning a moral compass. They see broken relationships. They see these men cheating on their wives and going out in the streets. They're exposed to dance hall culture and the music and the violence that comes with it. And I'm not just saying it's dance hall, because I don't care. Like I said, we're just focusing on that. But I have also pointed out rich people doing the same thing. They're capable of domestic violence. They're capable of having no moral compass. But it really comes down to having standards. And if you don't have standards in this aspect of your life, I'm afraid to say that chances are the whole house can fall down. The whole house of cards is built in quicksand.
No, but I don't think it's. I think what you're in control of is your own environment, of your children,
in the decisions that you make. So but each of us make individual decisions that make up our collective reality, and that's what we need to recognize. So if I'm out here in these streets, right, doing the most as a community leader, a church leader, a political leader, whatever. You know, I'm setting the tone for what others feel like they can do in the society and in our community. And then we all do it and the whole thing just falls apart.
Auntie Sandy, before you had children, or before you had the little one, the princess, did you ever turn up, go out, have drinks?
No, sir. If this is your definition of turn up, no. Never engage in anything like this.
Way of expressing themselves. Listen, I'm not.
I was not raised. Let me be very, very honest with you. Like I said, my Aunt Lottie would come out of the grave and box some water down here today if she ever saw me doing something like that. I was not raised in that way.
I wouldn't want that for my wife. I wouldn't want that for my daughter. I wouldn't want that for my sister.
But you shouldn't for anybody.
No. What other people do is not my business. That's how I live my life, because I'm not in control of that situation. People have to make their own choices.
But
the consequences.
Okay, right? let me say this. But it has an impact, because when other people are not raising their children, right? That has an impact on all of us. Those are the same kids that are going to come and bully your children and beat up little Nico at school, and then going to force you to go there and top somebody on top of the head.
Nah, we gonna call Auntie Sandy. She could deal with that one time. Anybody touch Nico or Gigi? That's how that works. But let me just say this to you, Auntie Sandy. We're having this conversation, and I hear where you're going, you know. But here's the part that you're missing out, right? Drugs and drug use, high-end drug use, coke, you know, all of the. I'm not talking about weed, because weed is illegal and herb is illegal and all the rest of that stuff, right? But there are more people that partake in the cocaine and prescription drugs and all of the other high-end sort of things that aren't easily available to the average sort of person of color, and nobody says anything. You can go anywhere.
That's not true. That is not true. We say stuff about them too. In fact, No. But Johan, you need to speak facts, because when we call out the white Canadian stapler thief, all of his white Canadian friends jump on the little bandwagon and will be cussing out CMR. We are an equal opportunity, equal rights call outer of bad behavior. And to me, it doesn't make a difference who does it. I don't personally care.
Sunday tonight, I could pick you up and we could go to a bar or several bars along the strip. And if we wanted cocaine, we could get it. The people are bartenders. The people are known dealers, and it's okay.
It's not okay. That's what I'm telling you. It's not okay.
Stop. Hear me for a second. How many raids of bars on the 7 Mile Strip have you ever heard of by the RCIPS? Yet the RCIPS make sure, and I congratulate them for enforcing the law. But if you're going to enforce the law, make sure you do it in every neighborhood, at every bar, at every venue, so that people understand what zero tolerance is. You cannot just pick on the poor, impoverished.
But nobody's doing that. In fact, one listener to the program says, Sandy, please do not forget the Filipinos in this situation, because they're also on the down low involving themselves in prostitution. It's just that they're discreet. Unlike the Jamaicans, they're not going to do a live on Instagram because, unfortunately, Jamaicans, love a show. So they want everybody to know that this is what they're doing. The Filipinos might be doing the exact same thing, maybe not in the same way. So they're not having boat cruises or whatever, but some of them are engaging in prostitution as well. And this now is why we need to talk about why we are importing people who we know, right, unfortunately, cannot survive on $6 an hour, no matter how you slice it, and are being subjected to all sorts of abuses. And what is happening to these people isn't right either. So I'm going to hold employers responsible for their part in this.
The general point that I was making is, I hear you. You have your right. You've taken a position. That's fine. However, let's just take the conversation further, whereby we're going after everybody who's involved.
But we do that here, and if you don't see that, then you've not been paying attention.
Not you. Stop taking it literally. I'm not talking about you, Sandra Hill. I'm talking about the system. The system doesn't raid anything on the 7 Mile Strip. We could your CMR mafia could show you where you can go buy high quality drugs right now, and nothing would happen in the system, because it's okay for certain class of people to do what they want, when they want, how they want. But if others do it, it's a scourge. You're bringing down the society. You're an embarrassment. Ray. The law is the law. So if you're going to mess with poor black people, mess with those that can afford the high-end life, that do the same illegal stuff. And then that way we know the system and the game isn't rigged. That's the point that I'm making, Andy Sandy. That's the only point that I'm making.
All right.
So you can cuss me after 10:30. I'll chat to you then.
Okay. I will have to respectfully disagree with you, Han. I see his point that the system probably isn't rating as many of those places as they could be, but there are times when they do. Remember the guy from help me out here, right across from where Liberties used to be before they tore down that building. Oh Lord, what's the name of that place again? Intertrust. Remember the Intertrust guy? Let me pull up the story now. His name was, hold on. What his name is again? Yes, here we go. Intertrust director arrested at workplace for what? Cocaine, drugs. And this was back in 2018. CMR was not even around for a year yet. Let me give you all the link. We wrote this story and we called him out. Now, if I could tell you all how many times this man contacted me over the years, because yes, to Johan's point, he got a slap on the wrist. Oh, white guy, white collared, he was having a rough time. It wasn't that much cocaine, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? They still showed up at his workplace, full force, sniffer dogs and everything, and took his behind out. Can't end up losing his job, leaving Cayman, continued his crime spree in the U.S. by not wanting to pay for taxes and all kind of other foolishness. But yes, this dude was all over the place. Ryan Kenneth Schroeder pled guilty to, in the summary court, to 0.06 grams of cocaine as well as consumption of cocaine. And of course, he didn't really get much of a sentencing. It's not to be fair, it's not a whole lot of cocaine. So, probably most people would have just, paid a fine or whatever. Then he left the jurisdiction. And for years, him, his wife, all these people contacting me. Oh, Miss Sandy, can you take down this article? You're ruining his life. I said, excuse me, sir. Let me understand how this works exactly. I take down your article. Why? Because you're white and entitled? Every time I write a story about a young Caymanian who has also made poor decisions, who's gotten involved in drugs, who's done foolishness, why am I not taking down their story? I mean, if anything, they're the ones who probably need more of a second chance than you. But every time somebody would Google his name, you see, it came up in the Google searches. And they didn't want that because, he can't go out there and find another white collar job. And I said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but he should have thought about that beforehand. And you know what they do? When they come with these stories to me, you see here, even when you Google his name, offshore alert comes up. Because yes, they canceled his license, right? October of 2018 over the same foolishness. So what they then do is they message, what can we pay you to make this go away? I say, what? Really? Because that's how some of these people make it go away. They think they can pay you off. Shaka Zulu says, wrong answer, Johan. It is your business. Diamond Princess says, sad to say that when we think about these things were being done by our forefathers, it's just that now, because of cell phones and the internet, it's being shown all over. We still have some conservative ladies around. I mean, the sad part about it is I think it's happening more and more. Like there's a whole subculture, and I get it that this has always been happening. Prostitution is, as I say, the old world's oldest profession. It has been happening a really, really long time. But, we start by holding ourselves accountable first and foremost, and then holding everyone else around us accountable for this type of behavior as well. So I get it. I'm well aware, Alma, good morning to you. I am well aware that white privilege exists. I am more than aware of that. On this platform, it does not exist. You don't get Cayman privilege. You don't get white privilege. You don't get Black privilege. You don't get Jamaican privilege. You don't get Honduran privilege. There's no privilege around here. Everyone will be held to equal, standards. And that's just what it is. And so if we even started on this platform, believe me, it will fan out from there. Because like I said, I'm always shocked. Oh, well, he must have had a reason why he stole the stapler. Yes, it's called you're a thief. Simple. He doesn't get a pass any more than anybody else does, as far as I'm concerned. Pure slackness. All right. Joyce Sand says, what's the difference between soca, carnival, and dance hall these days? They're all mostly all disgusting, disgraceful, and half nude. RMR says immigration reform now, not tomorrow. All right, let's discuss a few things on the political side. I felt like we did so much politics last week. We need a break this week, honey child, because that was a hot mess last week. But there's something that I want to clarify. So I think that when things are put in the public domain, and a lot of times people send it to me, it's not something that I'm necessarily watching because there's certain people that I just don't watch and pay attention to. But I think that it's important for us to ensure that we get things correct, right? We're all prone to mistakes. We're only human after all. We will get things wrong on occasion. But you have to be prepared to correct things, and more importantly, to not say the wrong thing just for political expediency. So, a lot of people who think they have a platform have picked a side of the fence. They're anti-Wayne Panton, they're anti-PAC government, they're this, they're that. So they pick a side, And then they're only going to discuss or put in the public arena what they think is going to make one side look bad or another side look good or whatever. And I'm not here for it. Facts are facts, opinions are opinions. So when it comes to your opinion, you're entitled to your opinion. You can think anything you want about these MPs. That's your opinion. But when it comes to facts, and when you state something that's a fact, and you've got people sitting there believing you, I got a problem with that. And let me show you what I mean.
Good morning.
This is
and stuff.
Mario Rankin, in case y'all don't know.
Bill that Wayne had to retain premiership is obviously real, right? Because if John was a rogue agent, for lack of a better term, if John was a rogue member of parliament who decided to leave for his own personal issues, then it shouldn't have taken nearly 5 days for the government to have appointed a new minister. And I don't know if you all are aware or not, but Franz Manderson is who appointed Isaac into that ministry. So I found that a bit peculiar or a bit weird.
All right, let me tell you why you would find it weird, Mario, because it's not true. So I don't know where you got this information from that you're relying on, but if something isn't true, you claim you're a vlogger, you're a blogger, whatever, right? Part of your remit should be to educate yourself and by extension, educate the people of the Cayman Islands. So if somebody says to you, oh, Franz Manderson, put this man in. How is that possible? Franz Manderson doesn't appoint ministers. He doesn't appoint MPs. So for the sake of clarification, a few of you have sent me this video clip. And so I want to correct the record because it is important that we get things right. Not just say things to inflame people and not put out correct information. First of all, Franz Manderson was acting governor. He's the deputy governor. That's his full-time position and head of the civil service. When the governor is not here, he slides into the position as acting governor. And so when all this stuff was going on with John resigning, blah, 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 the governor actually was in the UK. She was not here. So at the time, the acting governor was Mr. Franz Manderson. Now, let's take it a step further. And if you've been paying attention, folks, this is something that there should be really no mistake about how this happened. Because if you refer to section, hold on now, y'all need to get a copy of your Constitution because it is free for everyone to read. I invite you to go to section 49 of the Constitution. All right. Section 49 talks about the appointment of the premier and other ministers. And it makes it very, very clear how the process works. So scroll down to page, let me tell you what page is on. Page number 31, appointment of the premier and other ministers. So it talks about when a political party gains a majority of the seats of elected members of the Legislative Assembly. If no one gains a majority, how that works. After his appointment, the premier shall advise the governor to appoint the other ministers. So this is actually what happened. The premier advised the acting governor, which was Franz Manderson, that he was going to now appoint Mr. Isaac Rankin in the position. And then the governor does I think it's called a letter of instrument, but it says governor by instrument under public seal. So that is the formal process. There's an actual process. It's done by seal. And they get their little thing. Now, those of you who attended down in front of the Legislative Assembly or Parliament building, when this government went in, you would have seen her handing these certificates to each and every one of the ministers. And then they are responsible for signing off and saying, yes, they're accepting, they know their responsibility, blah, blah, blah. This is not just a ceremonial thing, folks. This is how it works in law, right? So please educate yourselves. It's important, Mario, if you want to be, even the voice of people on the fringes, you have got to ensure that you provide accurate information. So whilst you're talking about, oh, well, this is peculiar, of course you would think it's peculiar because it don't make no damn sense. And you don't have a discerning spirit to be able to pick sense from nonsense. Huh? You didn't inherit that or what? So now what happens is you take a statement like this. Well, that's peculiar. Why would France Manners didn't have to do it? Let's use that rhetoric to try to undermine the premier even more, to say, well, he can't even pick a new minister. Pick sense from nonsense. Look to your constitution, section 49, and it will help you understand how these letters of instruments actually work. Because then look at what he does. He starts to draw all kind of nonsensical conclusions.
Also, I found that very telling on the situation at hand.
And, of course, it's telling because it ain't true.
Obviously, if it had been the cohesive group of people in which have been portrayed
look at where he going with this.
From inception of the PAC government, it wouldn't have taken 5.5 days to have announced who the new minister would have been. And sorry, my apologies. Had a call coming in. As I was mentioning before the call disrupted, if the government was as cohesive as they said and working or as harmoniously as they tried to perceive, then it wouldn't have taken that long to have reshuffled the ministry. I mean, remember when Chris Saunders resigned?
Okay. So again, when you don't understand the process and you don't take time to ask, because I'm not sitting here telling you that I know this Constitution inside and out and I'm some constitutional expert, whatever. But one thing about me, honey child, I'm going to ask questions. Oh, I believe in a question. Y'all should see that by now. When people come on the show, I'm like, oh, I got a couple of questions for you, honey child. I believe in asking questions. There's a saying, seek first to understand before you seek to be understood. So I always lean towards, help me understand this. What is this all about? Now, again, Mario jump into conclusions, and what he does not understand, folks, that in order for Isaac to be appointed as the new minister, he has to first resign from his current position as deputy speaker. So let us remember, folks, he already had a position as deputy speaker, and I think he was also a secretary. What's it called again? The parliamentary secretary. He can't be deputy speaker and a minister. The only opportunity for him to resign as deputy speaker, because this went down on Friday, remember now, late Friday afternoon, John's timing was purposeful in terms of being disruptive. He knew exactly what he was doing. The first opportunity for the House to then meet again to change the deputy speaker was on Tuesday. Now, I'm not telling you that they didn't give him a day or two to think about it, of course. Mario goes on to talk about, when Chris Saunders was removed, they did it so quickly. Well, let's be honest. Those people, there was a reshuffling of positions, and then John was there in the waiting channel. He didn't have to think too hard about it. The premier asked him, and he said yes right away. Isaac might have been like, okay, give me a day or two to think about it, which he would have gotten anyway over the weekend. So now this bit of misunderstanding, misinformation, poor Mario trying to take it and make it into a big conspiracy.
It didn't take long for the premier to make his announcement. It didn't take long. It didn't take long for them to put John in the position. Blah blah blah. It didn't take long. But clearly, there's an issue after losing two high-ranked ministers. Excuse me. In such a short period of time, there had to be some doubt. In fact, I can tell you, without any fear of contradiction or anyone coming out and saying anything different.
Oh yeah.
There was a scenario without Wayne Pannon being the premier. However, they offered Chris Saunders the Speaker of the House.
Who offered it?
So this is why I'm a little concerned about the transparency of the political process.
There's no, listen to me. Let's be very, very clear here. We said that part. That was no nation secret about fear of contradiction, because we know Chris and others are feeding Mario a lot of BS, right? That's neither here nor there. We heard that, if Jay and Kenneth had pulled away from this government, the way that they'd be able to form a government, because, progressives, the thing about it that's really, really peculiar is they can't allow the progressives to take back control because there's not enough then to go around. Okay. And they know it. The progressives takes control. All of them have to get a minister. Alden has to get a ministry. The Mr. McTaggart, Joey, all their people have to get taken care of. So there's not enough to share between them and the few rogue people who'd be willing to work with them. So they would lose a lot. There's no way that you can figure it out because everybody wants something is the problem, all greedy. There's no way that you could figure out where that would happen. But if they had a hybrid situation where they didn't run to the progressives, they tried to form or reshuffle the existing PAC administration, we said this. And the idea is make Julie premier, make Kenneth deputy premier, and then you turn around and remove Kathy and give Speaker of the House to Chris Saunders. What is it with the Speaker of the House position? You know what it is? Speaker of the House makes a good, nice penny more than ministers. And in my opinion, does less work too. So that would have been one potential of how they were trying to work it out in their minds and what they were trying to float around. A man who was just fired for egregious behavior against women in this community, y'all gonna turn on and put somebody like that back into, well, he wasn't there, but you know what I mean, the previous one. That's who you're gonna make speaker? Y'all have lost your mind, I really have to wonder. No, honey child, that not gonna work. So yes, that was a possibility, but Mario, do yourself a favor, and try to educate yourself before you put these things out there. Because two things that you said in that very short snippet were completely wrong and completely false. And then in 2 minutes and 21 seconds, you got two things wrong. And then you're trying to draw all of these other conclusions based on that, which makes zero to no sense at all. Take the time to learn, to educate yourself, right? Don't just jump up and say XYZ and then talk about no fear of contradiction. Because you're drawing conclusions based on two things. The foundation of what you believed was actually completely wrong. You can't build a house on quicksand or a poor foundation because everything else that goes on top of it, that you stack on top of it, is faulty. That's all I'm going to say, because y'all know he likes to get up in his feelings and he's going to feel like, oh, Sandy, trying to attack me again. I'm not trying to attack you, sir. You put yourself in the public eye and you claim you want to be engaging with people and you want to tell people going on, but you have to tell people factually what's going on. Not a bunch of cockamamie. Okay? All right, let's move on. A few more minutes in the show. I want to talk about these slack jurors around the place. Good morning, DJ Yo-Yo, Jermaine Jackson in the house. He says, Sandy leaving for 2 weeks. This already sounds like 2 weeks of slackness island-wide. Do whatever you feel like and get away with it. Oh, now listen, yeah. I'm not going to be gone that deep. I'm not going into the heart of Africa with no internet. Shaka Zulu says, preach, Sandy. Say it again. Seek first to understand and then be understood. It is the golden rule of communication, folks. Ms. Della says, maybe John has taken up the habit of a previous BT member of being absent from meetings. No, he just slack, and the Boddentowners don't know what's going on, and they are happy to let him be slack. Ms. Donna says, Mario, Mr. Saunders did not walk away from being minister. He walked away from being a part of the government after losing that position. Thank you, Ms. Donna. Thank you. He was fired as minister. Yes, let's make sure we get that correct. And at least as quiet as the premier was about most things, he did finally admit that he had to remove him from the position. He was fired. In the words of the Donald Trump, you're fired. All right. Keep the facts straight now. You see how conveniently people want to use all these alternative words and mix things up? He was fired. Okay. So listen up, young folks. Class is still in session. No slacking off today. Jurors. this is something else I want to say to the judiciary, and I hope that they're paying attention this morning. There's a lot of slackness that goes on with the jury pool. I believe somebody was saying this to me yesterday, and I think I'm going to go with this position, that perhaps we need to start pulling jurors from people who have PR. Yes, make them go and serve their country, their soon-to-be new country. Oh God, somebody said John also brings in promoters. Lord Jesus, take the wheel. So listen to me now, folks. There are people in this country who want to take and take and take and take and take and never give anything back. They come here, they've had a good life. Cayman has afforded them homes and all sorts of stuff that ordinarily they would not have in their own country. Okay? You come here, you build a life. That's fine. Nobody not gonna begrudge you for that, honey child. It's the Caymanian dream, I suppose. Just like some of y'all have the American dream. You go over there and you try and hustle and try to make it. But you have to give back to your community. It's not a it's not a take situation without giving ever. One of the ways in which you give back to your community is through jury duty. Now, I've never served on jury duty. I keep telling them, call me. I am willing to serve my country. I want to be on a jury. I'm happy. All these years I've been back. I moved back to Cayman in 1996. And all these donkey years later, now they're not going to call me because I'm in media. So I think I'm exempted because there are certain exemption categories, right, of people that they don't call, ministers and all these kind of people. 27 years I've been back in Cayman. Nobody never wanted me for jury duty. Come on now. I'm one of those people that would love to serve my country. But apparently, a lot of people are out there trying to get out of it. Now, this is what somebody told me over the weekend. I was so shocked. In a recent jury selection process, a Spanish national from Honduras get called up now to serve on jury duty. Hear what he tell the judge. After living in Cayman for 30 years, he tells her he does not know enough English to sit on jury duty. 30 years you've been in this country and you don't speak enough. Listen to me. She actually accepted him and excused him from jury duty. Oh, hell to the no. You know what she should have done? Wrote to immigration and say, y'all better reconsider pulling his PR status, whatever it is that he has. Now, you know this man can understand perfectly fine. Now, the court kind of slacked too because instead of them saying, oh, well, in that case, then we'll get you a translator. There's technology. We can use a translation app. You're not going to miss much. Most of it is body language anyway. They're going to let this man excuse himself or be excused from jury duty, talking about after living for 30 years in Cayman, he don't speak no English, which, by the way, he said that perfectly fine in English to the judge. Can the judiciary stop accepting so much slackness when it comes to even something as simple as jury selection and jury duty? All these people be looking away to get out of jury duty. So let's widen the pool. You have permanent residency in this country? Yeah. I mean, you want to stay? You want to be part of it? It is now time to make those people serve jury duty as well, not just registered voters. Make them start giving back to this community because I've never heard such slackness in all of my life. Oh gosh, these people make up all kind of stuff. I remember one time, one person, she was there for one of my trials. Oh, I know Sandy. The judge said, but who don't know her? She said, the question is, how well do you know her? Okay. Is she a best friend? Are you guys hanging out all the time? This is not even somebody that I have their phone number. Of course you can know me, but that's not the real question. So the judge refused to let him go. I said, you tell him. But too many of these judges are pure slack. Oh yeah, that person, my 10th cousin, 50 times removed. Really? But you see, part of the problem, the jury pool is actually very, very small. So it's time to widen that jury pool. Pull in them PR people. Make them go and serve some time. All right. Hopefully somebody listening, because this is a bunch of foolishness. 30 years you've been in Cayman. Really, sir? You should be ashamed of yourself. All right, my beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in. I got lots of things to do today. It's Monday morning. Y'all have a blessed Monday. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early. Bring your notebooks. Pay attention. Don't fall asleep. And be good today. Okay, go out there, be productive, get some work done. No violence, no fighting in schools, no fighting in your homes. Don't beat up the husband, don't beat up the wives. And for God's sake, please, no dry humping each other on boats or anywhere else. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.